Good afternoon. It is 5:31. This is Calexico City Council, Calexico Redevelopment Successor Agency, and Calexico Financing Authority. This is our regular meeting. So this meeting is being called to order
Mayor Rola Fernandez,
here.
Mayor Pro Tem Moreno,
Here.
Councilmember Ureña, Councilmember Romo, Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Okay. Now, do we have anything for closed session, for public comments? No, ma'am. Okay. I guess we could go into closed session. It is 5:33. Okay. Okay, this is Proclamation. Okay. Second, Earth, no. Arbor, A. Okay. Good evening. This is Calexico City Council's Calexico Redevelopment Successory Agency, Calexico Financing Authority. This is our regular meeting, and sorry for the delay. It is 6:42. This meeting is being called to order.
Ready? Begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The mission statement.
Ready? Mission statement.
Together, we pledge to provide effective and efficient services in a courteous and respectful manner
To improve the quality of life for all
in our unique border community.
Viva Calexico.
Innovation. You're Garcia, aren't you?
Saúl García.
Raúl Garcia. Was your father Raúl Garcia as well?
Yes.
I went to school with him.
Sí, les decía, tomorrow we're going to be 29 years que estamos aquí en Calexico. Bueno, let's pray. Voy a orar en español. Señor, en esta hora nos llegamos ante el trono de tu gracia y pedimos en esta hora, Dios, mientras se inicie esta junta, que seas tú trayendo sabiduría a cada uno de los concejales y que podamos, Dios, hacer todo lo posible por mejorar nuestra ciudad y nuestra comunidad de Calexico. Pedimos tu sabiduría, tu providencia, tu dirección. Pedimos, Señor, por la unidad de nuestra ciudad. Pedimos por el desamparado. Pedimos por los negocios, Señor, de nuestra ciudad y pedimos por las familias de Calexico. Todo esto te lo pedimos en el nombre de Jesús. Te damos gracias. Amén.
Amén. Gracias. Okay. Approve the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda, Mayor.
Second.
And closed session announcement?
Oh,
Yes, thank you, Mayor. City Council went in closed session on the items described on this evening's agenda. Received direction when no reportable actions were taken. Thank you.
Okay, moving forward, the approval of the agenda.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Have a second?
Second.
Presentations? Presentations? Where are we?
We're still on the agenda approval. Yeah.
Councilmember Garcia?
Aye.
Councilmember Romo? Aye. Councilmember Urania?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Moreno?
Aye.
Mayor Adela Fernandez?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now presentations. This is, it's an honor to be able to present this to a friend of mine personally, but also a dear friend, I guess, of a lot of Calexicans. This presentation is going to Louis Wang from Yum Yum Restaurant. It is with great esteem that we acknowledge your most significant contributions to our fine city throughout the past 31 years. Yum Yum Restaurant has been a source of pride to the community. May you continue to feel the pride of knowing your contributions to the business community of Calexico are truly respected. On the year 113th anniversary of the city of Calexico, we thank you for being an integral part of the Calexico business community and our lives. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to the city of Calexico. I came to Calexico in 1974 in June, and I started my business in 1984. I started my Yum in 1989. I just want to say thank you to the city of Calexico. In the past 31 years for my business, we work together, we help each other, and give me a chance to serve. And I know the restaurant's closed, but deep in my heart, I haven't given up yet. At this point, I cannot promise anything, but we all live in the name of the God. I wish that I ask Him to guide me to serve again. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Louis.
Madam Mayor, I have a request from one of my department heads. He wants to say a few words on this item.
Sure.
With that, I'll call Police Chief Canal.
So, just really quick, Mr. Wong, on behalf, and I'm pretty sure I speak for all the staff in Calexico, but being that other than our city clerk, I probably have the longest tenure here with the city. We started when you were 5, right, Gabby? Anyways, so thank you very much for always being there for the city and the community. One of the biggest things that we ever went through as a city was our Easter quake back in April of 2010. And you and your restaurant and your family came out and you served the fire and police departments when we really needed help, because some of our people, our staff had not eaten because we had to work late and stay late, and you came through. And not only that one time, but you came through a lot of people. So I've known you for a long time, and it's kind of sad to see you closing your business, but like you said, God willing, you're going to be in the community, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart and tell you that we appreciate everything that you have done, you did, and will do for us in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate this.
Louis, hold on, Louis.
You know, Mr. Wang, I also want to echo the sentiments and the words of you know, Chief Gerardo. I know I've been here 20 years, but you know, probably one of the first restaurants that I visited when I came to Calexico, it was Yum Yum restaurant at the former location. Really small place, you know, all kind of like cramped, but that was part of the whole allure of Yum Yum in Calexico. And being told that, you know, one of the best, you know, Chinese food, you know, was here in Calexico at Yum Yum. And I mean, I was able to attest to that. And for sure, we wanted to see you again. We want an encore of you know, Yum Yum. And by the way, you know, I'm glad to hear that you're going to stay involved. I know that in other cities, they have that amigo of the community. So I think you are the friend of the community, regardless whether you're still a Yum Yum or you decide to do other things. But it's still, you have been the friend of the community of Calexico. So thank you, Mr. Louis Wong and your family. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Hey, Louis, just one real quick, because I don't want to take too much time. In 1974, I was 14 years old. That's where I met you. I was 14 years old, I met you. And I met your bride too, who happened to be your wife for God knows how long. So without going too much into the details, of course, I've gotten older, we've gotten older, but I've learned to appreciate you, what you've done with the community. Your values speak for themselves, and all that you've done for the community. And so, to me, I've known you that long, okay? And you've come a long ways. I really appreciate what you've been a role model for me in the community. I thank you for that. Thank you, Louis.
Yeah, thank you, Louis. Thank you. Okay, now moving to item 6, proclamation honoring the 113th anniversary of the city of Calexico. Whereas Calexico began as a tent city of the Imperial Land Company, founded in 1899, and the Imperial Land Company converted desert land into virtual settings for year-round agriculture. Whereas Calexico was incorporated on April 16, 1908, and this year observes its 113th anniversary.
And whereas the name of the city of Calexico is a portmanteau of California and Mexico, whereas in 1907, Imperial County split from San Diego County, becoming California's 58th county, and on April 16, 1908, Calexico became the third city in Imperial County, and
Whereas Calexico's population has grown over the years, starting at 797 in 1910, rising to 6,223 by 1920, and reaching 39,825 in 2019, and is now the second largest city in Imperial County, the 208th largest city in California, and the 1,002nd largest city in the United States. And
whereas the history of Calexico's endurance gives a powerful testimony about the resilience of its residents and the capabilities and desire to prosper, and
Whereas Calexico continues to address environmental, social, and economic regional concerns to ensure an improved quality of life and economic growth through the vital contributions of its residents, and
Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Rosie Arrola Fernandez, Mayor of the City of Calexico, do hereby proclaim April 16, 2021, the 113th anniversary of the City of Calexico, and henceforth the month of April will be recognized and celebrated by all with pride and optimism, in witness whereof I hereby affix my signature and official seal of the City of Calexico on this 21 day of April 2021. Proclamation for Earth Day. Whereas in natural, nothing exists alone, and the global community now faces extraordinary changes with global health, safety, and environment issues, as all living things have distinct value and each plays a unique role in the complex web of life which affect all people, and
whereas Earth Day is on April 26, 2021, and Arbor Day is on April 30th, 2021. And both special dates provide a special time to draw people together in appreciation of their mutual home, planet Earth. The global feeling and mutual dependence on each other, focusing not on the past, but the future as nature's gifts, along with the planet, are the millions of species that we know and love, and the many more that remain to be discovered. And whereas Earth Day and Arbor Day inspire many people and organizations to host environmental events that help raise awareness of environmental issues, human beings are workably distressed the balance of nature, which are having far-reaching impacts in the health and safety of the communities that we live and play. And
whereas Calexico takes great interest in the quality of our natural environment, in particular the planting of trees, which are so valuable for preserving the beauty of our community. Trees enrich our lives by increasing property value, enhancing the economic vitality of business areas, beautifying our streets, parks, neighborhoods, and
whereas the Calexico Earth Day and Arbor Community Cleanup Day on Saturday, May 1st, 2021, is to emphasize the importance of preserving our natural environment through collaborations and partnership by encouraging and supporting efforts that create healthier families, safer neighborhoods, eco-friendlier environments that enrich quality of life of all in the gateway to Mexico. And
whereas Calexico recognizes the collaborative efforts of public agencies, community organizations, local groups, businesses, and individuals that take part in grassroots volunteer efforts in Calexico, protecting our natural resources and maintaining a sustainable community by promoting good stewardship of our natural environment and encouraging good citizenship by safeguarding the border communities that will live and play for future generations. And
now therefore be it resolved that I, Rosie Arreola Fernandez, Mayor of the City of Calexico, do hereby proclaim Saturday, May 1st, 2021 as Calexico's Earth and Arbor Day Awareness in Calexico, California, and urge all citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, community organizations, and businesses to support awareness and to please join the community fair and the continued efforts in making the gateway to Mexico a healthier, safer, and more eco-friendlier city in which we all live, work, and play. Now we have a presentation by Ciro Cardeno. It's a Board of Trustees.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, and members of the public, my name is Ciro Calderon. I am the school board president for Calexico Unified, and I'm also, of course, a resident of Calexico. Thank you, Councilwoman Romo, for inviting me to present to you. This is the first time that we've been here in a long time. Actually, this is one of the first times that I've been out since the pandemic started in 2020. Basically, we just wanted to come and let you guys know how we're doing. We all know that this pandemic started back in early 2020. The schools immediately went into home instruction on March of 2020, and since then it's been a roller coaster. Not only for us, but it's been a roller coaster for I believe for the whole world. Everybody was taking hostage of this pandemic. Luckily, knock on wood, it seems like we are winning this war, and I don't want to jinx it for anybody, but it seems like we are. We started with home instruction for the 2020-21 school year. Now we're in full online instruction. We just recently went into in a hybrid mode of teaching, which 25% of our students are now allowed to go into the schools. And it's in waves. And we have only a certain grades that are going back to school. Every week we integrate a new grade or a new school. We're doing good. It's working. I believe it's working out. However, I will be the first one to tell you that if the decision needs to be made, if something happens to our students or to our staff members, I will be the first one to say that we need to go back into full-time home studies. Okay, I was very skeptical about opening up the schools because it was a matter of life or death. But thankfully for our local organizations as well as the state and the federal governments, we have been able to make progress. But we're doing good. At this point, we're doing good. At this point, everything is working out. So far, so good. We have not had any cases after the kids started school. We have had some schools that need to be tended to, but nothing of an emergency. So I am glad that I was invited by Councilman Romo to speak to you about how is it that we're doing, because Calexico Unified belongs to Calexico. So thank you for the opportunity to come and talk to you and address you. And if you have any questions, of course, we're always happy to answer your questions and have that talk that we always need to have. Our doors are open for you guys.
Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Any questions?
No, just I just want to, sorry, Ms. Madam Mayor. I just want to, thank you, Mr. Calderon, for coming now and providing this update. I know that a lot of us are parents, that have, students at our local school district, and I know that the school district has done an outstanding job of keeping everybody, all of us informed, and just the community. So kudos to all of you at the district, and this is great. This is a good sign that, like you said, this is probably the first time not just that you got out, but also that we had, at least since I can remember, even before becoming a council member, of a board member coming out and providing a report. I know that we had Superintendent Gonzalez, come and do a presentation, sometime before election time, promoting Measure Q. But I think, there is a lot of room for opportunity to continue to engage and like you said, Calexico Unified is Calexico also. And I think it's for all of us to continue working together. I love, what is going on with the school, with the high school campus.
Yes.
I mean, outstanding work and just it's really nice to see what, the resources that are provided by the community are doing and what it will do for our students. So coming from that and coming also from a perspective of educating our future generations and also preparing our future workforce, that also is a very important component that I always try to promote. So I think there's a lot of commonalities that we have between council and the school board. So hopefully this is the first of many conversations that we're going to have, and not just conversations, but also opportunities to work together and collaborate. Thank you.
No, thank you. And as many of you guys know, I'm not a politician, so I don't come out just for when it's time to get votes. That's not me. If I'm here, it's because I think it's very important that we, as a community, we know what's going on. That the community knows that Calexico Unified works with the city of Calexico, and the city of Calexico works with Calexico Unified. We're here. We're together. We may be two entities with different governing bodies, but our city is small enough that we need to make sure that we know each other. So thank you for the invitation. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, now presentation on the Calexico Independent Chamber of Commerce presented by Jesus Jesse Gallardo.
Actually, the video
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, City Council, members of the public. My name is Jesus Gallardo. I'm a business owner in downtown Calexico since 2011. I am in the cell phone business, in the income tax business, and I own several ventures in Mexicali as well. In 2019, I decided to start my own initiative, chamber, because of the lack of a chamber in Calexico, at least in my perspective as a business owner. I give you a little piece of paper with our mission statement as a chamber, with our main project, our platform, Calexico Shopping Center, and a resume or segmentation of the ideas that we want to work with. Our angles are very simple. We work for the businesses all over the city. We work for the consumers from the city, the tourists, Mexican nationals, everyone that comes into Calexico, and we work with the city, okay? My main mission as a chamber, as an independent chamber, and it's not independency from the city or from any other governing bodies. It's a dependency from the oligarchy of the last names of the people that has been here in Calexico for the past 20, 30 years that reigned over City Hall and reigned over the chamber that used to be here and reigned over the city itself. As a business owner, I was a member of our regular chamber, and I was never able to get something out of it. Not education, not platforms, not anything that a 21-year-old entrepreneur that went to become a businessman had any power to get into, basically. So I learned that the chamber was not working for me as I would think a chamber should, right? So my mission is to become a liaison between the businesses in downtown, midtown, and uptown with the city. A liaison from consumers, clients, customers, to business owners. If they had a bad experience, let me help you with that. Let us help you with that. If they have a business idea, let me grow it. Let me show you the ropes, theoretically by in the books and in the real world. How to get a permit from the city, how to do a business plan, how to develop your idea to a strategy to make it a reality. Why do we want to do all these? Because we believe that the city needs more money, and we get money from businesses. We get more businesses, we get more employment. We get more employment, we get more taxes. We get more taxes, we get a better city, a better infrastructure, etc. The vision that we have, at least in my head, it's we should be an outlet of education. We are an outlet of education. Myself, I'm doing it privately. People go to my office with a business idea, and I ask them, what do they want to do? I give them a business plan. I help them develop that business plan to give more clarity on how to conduct business, how to open up properly. If I'm able to get those individuals with the hunger to become business owner, they're not going to rely on a job, and they're going to be able to eventually hire employees. I want to work as an incubator. That's what I think a chamber should do. Not only mixers and parties, but also education, outlets. How do you open a shop? You go to City Hall, you get this business license, you go to the state for a state license, you go to the county for a permit, for a seller's permit, that's a state too, and you go to get an EIN from the federal government, right? And for the city, I believe that there should be an entity, us, to help the city bring in more business. I know many business owners. I know many landowners or, what do you call those? Offices for rent that are vacant. Let me help the city rent those. Let me help them get those spaces rented. Let me bring businesses from El Centro, from Raleigh, from San Diego, down here like El Centro did. They open a lot of restaurants there every year, and we really do not. And the ones that we have open, like Mr. Wong left, they closed down, and that's not good. Mr. Calderon, and he's gone too, he said that he's looking for unity from the governing body of the Unified School District to Calexico. I do as well. I'm not in a war with anyone. All I want, as an independent chamber from the oligarchy that used to reign here, we need to be able to work together as a council, as city management, with private business owners that in the real world know what problems we face as the insecurity that we currently have in downtown. When a business owner wants to open a business, how is it gonna get done? Even though we have bigger organizations in the county that are supposed to help with those problems, personally, I've used them. They don't. They show you a book. They don't know what it is in the real world outside being a business owner in downtown, get it broken into literally every day. They don't know the struggles that we go through to get funding, to get loans, etc. Because everything, it's so hard, because it's taxes, it's money, etc., that most people will give up because they don't have an outlet. The language barrier, we help you with those. So, I'll leave you with those packages. Please read them, take them home. I'm always emailing you guys, part of my mailing list, on what we do, what we've done. And please help us. Basically, that's what I'm here for. Okay? And second, I want to show you a commercial that we did for downtown. That's my main platform. The second page, Calexico Shopping Center. I believe that since Mexican nationals can't cross, I thought that we were going to die as a downtown commerce. As all the businesses in Calexico were going to go out of business, we were going to just be out. In reality, it's not. Do we need them? Yes, of course. I lost about 70% of my revenue if they can't cross, but we are still surviving. So I decided to invest my own private money into a platform, Calexico Shopping Center. So, and if you have an RQ code, if you scan it, it's gonna open up our Facebook site, and we do videos, we do photo shoots, we have an open directory, or that's a plan, to be able to showcase every single business in downtown, midtown, uptown. And for that, I've spent about $2,000 of my own private money to get these businesses around. Why? Because again, we thought without Mexicans, we're not able to survive. The reality is, there's a lot of people here in the county, 189,000 people. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of people don't know what we have to offer in downtown. Why? Because they don't want to get a fine for being over there within a quarter of the parking spaces, or being more than 2 hours. San Melis, it's opening for 4 hours a day. There's a lot of people that want and need products and services that we offer. When they come from Humano San Diego, where people from Calexico, I know a lot of people that haven't been in downtown in a while. A lot. And I know this because I made a commercial. I spoke to a lot of people in Calexico, in El Centro. Why haven't you shopped in Calexico downtown? Oh, because endless things they did not like, right? With this platform, I want to attract local tourists. I want to attract local shoppers. Why go to Walmart if you can support a small business? Why go to Best Buy if we have electronics stores in downtown? We have Alex Stereo or JC Power now, and they have an amazing deal. So people don't know it, right? And I do believe in advertising. I do believe in showcasing what we have to offer as business community for local shoppers to go in instead of going to the big boys. So this is one of the commercials that we shot about 3 weeks ago. It went viral. We have over 40,000 local views, non-paid, and we showcased 10 businesses. So, Ms. Gabi, please. And if you have any questions, please stop me.
Unas tiendas que seguramente ya conocían pero no recordaban. Es nada más y nada menos que Calexico Downtown, la vieja confiable. Calexico Downtown se encuentra entre calle Primera y calle Quinta, entre Imperial Avenue y Heber Avenue. Desde tiempos inmemorables, este cruce peatonal era la columna vertebral de Calexico y hoy la queremos recuperar. Así que, querido consumidor del Valle Imperial, te invitamos a que veas el siguiente video. En Choro Wireless cuenta con una amplia variedad de planes de hasta $25 al mes. Cuentan con mensajes y llamadas ilimitadas a todo México y Estados Unidos. Garlands es una tienda tradicional de Calexico desde 1960 y cuenta con una amplia variedad de marcas como por ejemplo Guess, Calvin Klein, Nautica, UGG y Puma. En Calexico Duty Free encontrarás perfumes, cremas y accesorios de todas las marcas. En Biomart Calexico puedes obtener hasta $500 al mes en tus primeras 5 donaciones. Y lo mejor de todo es que salvas vidas. Te comenté que tenemos una amplia variedad de tiendas de ropa y Roca Jeans es una de ellas. Cuentan con una amplia variedad de tallas, desde tallas chicas hasta tallas plus. En Qué Fácil Income Tax puedes tramitar tus taxes, servicio de migración y muchas cosas más. En Lulus Moda cuentan con una amplia variedad de ropa que encontrarías en cualquier plaza, pero aquí aún 50% menos. En Valencia Jewelers tienes crédito garantizado y aquí podrás encontrar una amplia variedad de joyería. En InterTV Wireless se ofrecen todos los servicios de internet de casa y celulares con Spectrum, T-Mobile y AT&T. Y después de hacer todas tus compras, seguramente despertará tu apetito. Así que la buena noticia es que contamos con un Jack in the Box en calle Rockwood. Mucho más puedes encontrar en Calexico Shopping Center, o como tú lo conoces, Calexico Downtown.
So we showcased 10 businesses of people that I know and that I trust, and we've had from the community, at least from the comments from the business owners that I talked to, we've had very good welcoming into their services and products. That's awesome. If you go to the first street, you're gonna see 2 stores that offer incredibly good-looking clothing, very cheap. You're gonna find jeans, the Levi brand. You're gonna find Dickies, but people don't know about those, or they're afraid to get a ticket, or they endless things why they don't want to go with that. But most people don't know what they offer. They don't know what I have to offer. They'd rather go to the mall because it's easier. They'd rather go to, whatever they know. We go to where we know, right? So my job with this platform is to invite tourists and continue proving that even though we do need Mexican nationals, of course, but we are able to survive if we attract local shoppers. So, Mayor, City Council, I am in need of help because I'm running out of money. I'm doing everything by myself. I'm doing everything from my own office, which I don't mind, honestly, but it doesn't look very professional that you're looking into a chamber with people coming in asking you questions and needing help, and they are greeted by a cell phone store employee, right? And third, I need an amplification. I am able to get a lot of things done by myself. Imagine what we are able to get done if I get the backup from the city. If I get the name of the city. That's the thing. I have contacts in Mexico that I'm taking this to for when the borders open. Canaco. Man. So, again, my name is Jesus Gallardo. I'm the executive director of a 501c6, Calexico Independent Chamber of Commerce, and I need your help. Any questions?
Some comments. I looked at the business plan or the proposal that you have in terms of what you want to do as a Chamber of Commerce, which was helping people with their business license, the advertising, that list of 9 things that you want to do. It's a very solid plan. Whether it's your Chamber of Commerce or the traditional Chamber of Commerce, there's things that we can do structurally as a city to help all businesses. And what you're saying about localizing our economy is economically very sound. And it's the modern way to do things is the way that we need to be going. Just a very brief anecdote. When I came back to the city of Calexico, when my family moved back from the city of Salinas back home to Calexico, I was in 5th grade. And my elementary school teacher, Ms. Cuesta, had said, gee, I wish it was like the 70s. And it's not just her. Many members of the community, John Moreno, other notable figures in the community, reminisce about how good things were in the 70s for downtown Calexico. And everybody kind of scratches their head, you know, what changed. There was a national trend that changed in the 80s. 80s was the start of suburbanization. 80s is when we started building big roads to big stores like Walmart, and those are municipal decisions. We make structural decisions that impact the viability of a downtown space, how walkable it is, how much parking there is, if we're going to charge for parking, things of that nature. Whether it's your independent Chamber of Commerce or the regular Chamber of Commerce, I really want to invite the City Council moving forward what we can do structurally as a city in policy, as well as transportation, parking, and all those things, to bring us back into not bring us back necessarily, but a modern form of that walkable downtown space that we saw in the 70s before we started our transformation nationally, suburbanizing this nation. A lot of local jurisdictions are thinking that way, and I don't think there's, even the city of El Centro, they've invested a lot in their downtown space, making it more walkable, all of those things, and it's things that other council members like Mr. Garcia have brought up. I think it's about time we start making those changes slowly, first without fiscal impact, but yeah, we're here to support you, and if moving forward you can also make your needs more concrete as a Chamber of Commerce to us, I feel like we can bring them up as items and see where we can move forward together.
Yes, thank you for telling me that, but I'm not against Walmart, just FYI, because they bring a lot of money to Calexico and they bring a lot of jobs. I'm not against big companies. I am against not doing enough for downtown and midtown and uptown. I'm not against Gran Plaza outlets. They brought a lot of jobs. I am against us not being able to grow because we're not getting the support as we should. And honestly, if we count, and I did this, if we count all the employees that are employed in downtown area alone, from 1st to 5th, are more employees than what outlets and Walmart brought.
Yes.
That's a fact. I'm not making it up. So if we're able to get that support from the city, we're not billionaires like Walmart, we should be able to bring more jobs into our community. Thank you, Mr. Rubin.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Éxito.
Okay, presentation of the Calexico International Airport by Liliana Palomir, Public Works Manager.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, those present, and those watching via social media. My name is Liliana Palomir. I'm the Public Works Manager for the Public Works Department. One of the divisions under the Public Works Department is our Calexico International Airport. Our airport is located at 801 West 2nd Street, across the street from Gran Plaza. The Calexico Airport is designated as an international airport of entry by the Federal Aviation Administration and U.S. Customs and Border Patrol Agency, which means that those traveling from Mexico to the United States can stop at our airport to declare through customs. The nearest also airport of entry is, for example, in Yuma, Arizona, and San Diego. The airport consists of a single runway designated as H26. It encompasses 257 acres. The runway is asphalt constructed and is 4,679 feet long, 75 feet wide. The airport is open year-round, 24 hours, and it averages 8 aircrafts operation per day. The airport operation personnel is available from 8 to 5 daily or after hours of operation upon request. The United States Customs and Border Patrol inspectors are based at the airport. They have their office within the terminal, and their hours of operation are from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., and also they are available after hours upon request. The Calexico International Airport is overseen, again, the city manager as well as myself, and we have a utility services coordinator that is a full-time, just one full-time employee, and then we have 3 fuel linemen that are temporary part-time employees. Those temporary part-time employees are only allowed to work 999 hours per fiscal year. The operating budget for the airport, as you can see, we have for the last 3 years, roughly is about $300,000 to $400,000. As you can see throughout the years, the budget has decreased because, of course, the airport is an enterprise fund, so it depends on the revenue that it brings in. The terminal building was built as a temporary base back in 1969, and it's still there. We haven't built a new terminal. It's approximately 3,000 square feet, and like I mentioned, it accommodates the airport office, U.S. Customs. There's an area for pilots who plan their flights. We also have a small lounge for pilots. We have a kitchen. We have 2 lobbies, and we have restrooms for those who visit the airport. The airport has 16 aircraft storage hangars. 10 of them are considered large buildings, and then we have the other remaining 6 that are small buildings. We currently lease all 16 of the hangars. For example, for the large hangar, it would be a monthly rate about $226. For a small hangar, the rate would be $147. They pay their own, the city pays their light, but they pay their own water. Our staff does several types of duties and responsibilities, but the main one is that airport staff fuels different types of aircrafts with either the 100 low lead or Jet A fuel that we sell to them. Typically what we do is we buy, the city buys the fuel, and then we resell the fuel to them, and the city makes approximately $1 per gallon for profit. They also provide maintenance, keep the terminal clean, inspect the runway, make sure that there's no, we get a lot of, especially after rain, a lot of weeds growing, so they just keep maintaining the airport and make sure that all the grounds are clean, so when we get visitors, we have them there. They also make sure that if a pilot is coming in, they also operate the Unicom radio, to make sure they provide them the wind, traffic patterns, the speed, and let them know if there's any other planes coming around the same time. The city has had every year or every time the Federal Aviation Administration opens calls for projects, we go ahead and submit them. These are the grants that we have received from back in 2014. We received $3.3 million to do runway rehab repair, which was completed. FAA paid 90% of the grant. The state paid another 5%, and then the city had a local match of 5%. Right now, back in 2018, we did the design phase for the rehab taxi A. Right now, that project is estimated to be about $4 million. We have received a grant for 1.6, which is 100%. There will not be a local match required. And we have just submitted an additional grant to get the full amount in order for us to rehab taxi A. Also, we were able to get 2 small grants that FAA for the stimulus package. Well, one was for $30,000, and then the other one was for $9,000. And both of those grants are used to help us with the operation and maintenance of the airport. Every December, we are allowed to submit to the FAA our 5-year airport capital improvement plan. Here are some of the projects that we will be working with the FAA in the future. Again, is to the remaining amount of the rehab of Taxi A, as well as do runway pavement and seal at the southwest apron. Typically what we do is we get funding for the design, and then also we apply, once the design is complete, then we go ahead and apply for the construction. So that's why you see, we are going to be requesting about $157,000, and then once we hopefully have the design completed, we'll go ahead and request for the construction, which we're estimating at this time $735,000. Here are some of the examples of the flights that arrive at our international airport. We have Reach, Mercy Air. Anytime a patient needs to be transported, whether they're crossing from Mexicali or even if there's an accident here in Calexico and they need to be flown, our fire department takes them over to the airport, and then they have the light flights come and pick up the individuals, which either they take them to San Diego or Palm Springs. And recently, our chief is here, he can attest, our airport is being used frequently with medical calls. Also, once in a while, we get our Angels flights. They're a nonprofit volunteer organization that donate their pilots, they donate their aircrafts to transport individuals that have medical conditions to, for example, doctor's appointments that are not here in the valley, that are in San Diego or Palm Springs. And they will pick them up at the airport, and then they will take them to the destination, and then after a certain amount of time, they will bring them back, and then they can go to their home or go back again for treatment. Also, during the year, we have the flying doctors that travel south to provide medical assistance. So they stop by at the airport, fuel, of course, go through customs, fuel up, and then they go back to their destination. We also have had international celebrities stop by at our airport. Actors, singers, our former governor was here, and we have designated, if you visit the airport, a wall where we call it our famous wall. We have pictures of our celebrities who come down and visit the airport. The wish list. There's a lot of things that we can improve, but due to budgeting, we have to do it little by little. But here's at least 5 of the projects that we have, which is, of course, constructing a new terminal building. As I said, the building that was constructed back in 1969 was just a temporary, but we would like, in the future, to look for funding or be able to construct a new terminal that has all the amenities that we can provide to those that come down and visit our airport. Also, we also are looking into additional hangars. There is vacant property within the airport that hangars can be built, therefore bringing more revenue to our airport. Also, there's possibility of in the future extending the runway about 500 meters. That will allow bigger airplanes to come to our airport. Also, recruitment requests. As I mentioned, we only have one full-time utility services coordinator who also does the role of supervising the airport. And then we also have three temporary part-time positions. Our request would be, to add a supervisor, add at least one full-time fuel lineman, and then 2 permanent part-time positions. Because as I said, the part-timers are only allowed 909 hours, so we're constantly training individuals to come and work for us. And also, another addition that we would like to do is an automated weather observation system, which is computerized voice message, which is broadcasted via radio frequency, and this will allow the pilots to know who's around the vicinity, the traffic patterns, the wind, and all of that. And that is my presentation. If you have any questions or if the public wish to contact us, here is our contact information.
I don't have any questions. Do you have questions?
I don't know if council has any questions?
I just have comments, and based on the history and based on again what I can recall, I remember traffic it's being a little bit more larger, bigger, airplanes coming and going. And I know we will have to go back and talk to the staff that works there or has been around the airport as to what has been the reason why that decrease. And then also you mentioned, and that's something that in talking to a seasoned pilot that actually used to fly out of the airport, that one of the pluses that we have is that Calexico, and you said it, is the only international airport in the surrounding area, and actually pilots can fly in and do customs, and it will be easy in and out. But then also it will be a great opportunity to generate traffic, and not just traffic, but opportunities, for more people to stop by, to maybe cross the street and go to the outlets or come into downtown, come into the city. So that's a great opportunity. And then also, you were mentioning the hangars too. I know they're occupied, they're taken. Maybe building more, but then another thing, we need to look at the strategies, and I think it's all of us, and I think that's a part of the wish list, how we can reactivate that traffic and that importance of maybe advertising. And I don't know if we do that, in magazines and in publications that, people from out of town or from other parts of the country, that they know that this is, their first airport that they can fly into with no, issues or concerns or waiting in a traffic pattern, fly in. That's a great opportunity. But then also another need another possibility that we can explore, again, talking to a seasoned pilot. I mean, there's no, actual mechanic that can work on planes, small planes, private planes. Maybe looking into that, into leasing some of those spaces or building spaces and have them, probably work out of the airport, because the local pilots have to go out of, town, fly, a couple of hours to take their airplanes for service. So just ideas, and maybe we should look at this as another asset, as another opportunity to bring more revenue and more people. And I think, the plan that is there to, resurface all the taxiways, or some of the taxiways, improve that communications, lighting, all the wish lists. I think with that, as we continue to do that, and I know the staff does a great job of keeping the area, the whole airport area, very clean, which I was very proud of going in there and seeing that it was at least, inviting, and it was nice. But at least we need to generate more traffic. We need to make sure that, there's a strategy, and not just kind of like wait and just rehab and, but have a plan. Maybe when we do this, I know that Imperial, used to have, Aviation Day, where, they used to generate interest, in the local community. fly, kids out of the airport just for around, the county, just generate a buzz, for our airport about the plus that we have or what it means to have that international airport and just putting it out there. I think that in itself, will do a lot for us and mainly also for revenue. So again, something that I would like to see to be brought back with the plan. I think it's part of the revitalizing downtown. That is part of downtown. That is part of our heart of our city for business and for development. So let's not forget about that when we put the plan together. So, I'll ask you and the city manager to, come up with the plan and keep us informed. And I would like to be part of those discussions.
Yes,
Thank you.
Due to COVID, we have seen, well, of course, due to COVID, people stopped flying. Now, we have started getting more aircrafts into our airport, but we did see a major decrease of visitors at our airport. Also, as you mentioned, there is a need for more hangars. The 16 hangars that we have, they're all leased, but we have like a waiting list of maybe about 15 to 18 pilots that are interested. So when somebody leaves stops leasing it, we give them a call and say, hey, are you interested? And we're constantly updating our list. Also before COVID, we would also invite, if like a school wanted to go visit the airport, Jerry Arguelles, who is our utility services coordinator, he would coordinate with U.S. Customs as well as invite some of the pilots. And they would do like, not aviation, but aviation day for that specific, like kindergarten or fifth grade and stuff. So we do a little bit, but because of COVID, we have stopped doing it. But as soon as hopefully everything opens back up, we can resume those activities again.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Ms. Olimir, what will happen to the building where the restaurant was? Any project, for example, are you going to rent a building, whatever?
The city has received several requests, inquiries about that building, and that is being taken care of by the city manager's office, but there is a interest in leasing that building for something. And that also, there was some customers some pilots that would just come and have some lunch, as Mr. Garcia said, go shopping around and then would leave. So hopefully, once we can get a business there, or it can help out the airport as well.
And the second question is, which is going to the vote with the $9,000 federal grant that we just received in 2 weeks ago?
The grant is for operation and maintenance because, as I mentioned, we have not had enough revenue come in. It's being used for our daily operation and maintenance.
We received 9,000 of the $2 billion. Yeah, this is Mr. Figueroa said, $2 billones del gobierno federal dieron a todos los aeropuertos de Estados Unidos y aquí tocó $9,000. A mí me da mucha pena, claro que los aceptamos, pero gracias a nuestro congresista Juan Vargas que está al tanto, yo creo, no sé por qué, independientemente de las herramientas que hayan usado para decir que $9,000 para el aeropuerto internacional de Calexico, sinceramente me da mucha pena eso. Pero no sé qué van a gastar. Me gustaría ver una nota para ver qué van a gastar con $9,000 en un aeropuerto internacional para mandar a agradecer a las personas. 9,000. Una barredora.
Anything else?
And well, it helps us pay for our temporary part-times as well as purchase, any cleaning supplies or equipment that the airport needs.
Fabuloso.
Thank you. Bi-weekly COVID-19 update presentation.
All right, good evening, Honorable City Council, to the staff that's in attendance,
and obviously always most importantly to our citizens that are watching via our social media platforms. Just to piggyback on Mrs. Palomede's comments on the airport, the airport it's important to the fire department because we're utilizing that to fly out our patients, our citizens of Calexico. We used to land the helicopter in the middle of the streets and some of the big avenues that we had. At the end of the day, it was safer for us and easier for the pilots just to land at the airport. Depending on where you're at in the city, depending on how we're going to land that helicopter. But yeah, thank you for you guys' work that you do out there. It's a very necessity for us. Thank you guys. So we're going to start real quick, a brief update on the COVID-19 information. Like I promise you, it'll be really brief. We'll start with the most recent numbers for the city of Calexico. We have active cases of 39. 39 doesn't sound like a lot, but if you remember back a couple of weeks ago, we had 0. We had a couple of days and a couple of weeks that we had 0. There has been a small spike that we're seeing. It is anticipated to see a bigger spike. So at the fire department, what are we doing? We're ensuring that all of our protective equipment is up to gear, making sure that all the staff is aware of all the new changes coming along with the COVID treatment. And obviously, we want to make sure that we encourage our citizens to follow all the COVID-19 guidelines that are out there. A new update that came out from the state health officials was about the COVID-19 metrics yesterday, which showed a 7-day period of worsening data for the Imperial County. This does not affect the county's ability to remain in the orange. However, it does put us at jeopardy of having to return down to a lower tier if our numbers continue to worsen. This determination will be made by the state based on the review of the case rates, and the test and positivity for the previous 10 days. So hopefully in 2 more weeks, our numbers have either stayed at the same, where we can remain in the orange tier, or we can also regress back to the to the red or to the purple. We don't want that. So we got to urge the citizens of Calexico to continue to follow all the COVID-19. Wear your mask, stay at home when you're not feeling good, use appropriate social distancing, avoid large gatherings, and so we're going to the vaccines. Right now, we have a bunch of avenues for the citizens of Calexico, just actually the whole Imperial County, to get vaccinations. We still have the same systems running: Dr. Vo's office, Calexico Wellness. A lot of your own personal doctors have access to it. Some of the pharmacies we have here in Calexico also have access to it. If you get lost into the whole grand scheme of things, because COVID's everywhere and it kind of gets confusing, you can always revert back to the Imperial County website, the health department's website, and just remember that there's that website that's called myturn.ca.gov. It'll tell you exactly what places are open. You just put your information in, and it basically tells you, hey, when do you want to get it, and where do you want to get it? They'll do all the work for you, send you the information, and that way we can get your vaccine there. Let me see, I think that is it for my update. Oh no, I'm sorry, I do have one more thing. So we were talking about gatherings, right? Because we want to start bringing back the public to our public meetings, because it's important for, that's how government works. We got to have the public involved here. We were hoping on the 15th of April to have a clear path. We have not got that clear path yet. There is some guidance that there's going to be modified, so we're just going to wait for the Imperial County to give us those guidelines, and once we do, we'll be eager to follow those, and hopefully we get back to the time where we can have our public here. Obviously, there's going to be some metrics that have to be made. Initially, right now in the orange tier, it is 50%, so we have 135 capacity, so what quick math we're doing, about 60 some people will be allowed here. Obviously, we got to count for the staff that's here, accommodate for the 6 foot of clearance. So we'll be making those changes. Obviously, there has to be a plan in place, and something that the city manager's office will be working with. Any questions? All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, Chief. Announcements?
These proceedings may be viewed on the City of Calexico website at www.calexico.ca.gov the Friday following the City Council meeting. Community office hours with Mayor Ariola Fernandez will be held on the fourth Tuesday of the month from 2 to 4 p.m. Please contact the city clerk's office at 760-768-2102 for an appointment.
Public comments. I would like, Mr. Escobar, Supervisor, would you like to say something in public comments?
If you want, I'm happy to do so, but if you want to take the other public comments first, it's up to you.
Or also Mr. Gonzalez?
I'll remove my mask for a while. Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor, members of City Council, staff. Javier Gonzalez here to give another small report. First of all, let me thank you for the Earth and Arbor Day proclamation. When you have it ready, we'd like to give it to Dr. Bo every year. We usually do this every year. We've been doing it for many years, and we usually give it out to one of our supporters. We don't call them sponsors, we call them supporters. As you know, we've been doing this for a long time, and sadly, our community doesn't look a lot more greener for some reason. We've been planting trees, more than 3,000, 4,000 trees, and something is happening. So that's why we're doing, again, this Earth and Arbor Day. It's not Javier Gonzalez, not IID, it's the community coming together as a grassroots. We hope to see you there May 1. We want to teach the new generation. That's why we're going to give out shirts that say, I volunteer. We want to teach the young generation that it's their community. It's their responsibility. Like John F. Kennedy said, the government alone can't do it. We need, like the Adopt a Park. I just met today with a group that I thought was just very political. Calexico needs change. I heard from young kids that, yeah, they're very political, but they have a plan, an environmental plan. They have a community revitalization ideas. And I really liked it. I thought I had another idea from them. Those are the kind of people that we want to bring in because, man, let's face it, we can't do it by ourselves anymore. Our neighbors, they were very active. Most of them are. So that's why we're going to do it. We hope that you guys are there on May 1. May 1 at John F. Kennedy, but we're going to have 6 or 7 areas in Calexico. We're not just cleaning Kennedy Garden. We're going to clean several areas. It'll be fun. We'll be giving out, hot dogs and the shirts. We've got 150 shirts to all volunteers. So we hope to see you there. Thanks the City of Calexico. Thanks Lily. They'll be helping us with some materials, with safety cones, and then we'll be signing waivers. So we'll probably be working there 3 hours. We hope we get 50. That's manageable. Sometimes we get 70, 80. It's too many kids. And we hope to have supervisors. The other event is the Arbor Day. IID is celebrating Arbor Day. In my area, Division 4 will be at San Diego State University. April 30 at 10 a.m., San Diego State. DP Duck will be there unveiling their new logo. And regarding IID, I don't want to say much, just that the vote for the Beach Canal is coming up. I hope you guys have talked to Director Galindo. We need her support. This is an opportunity to get that done. We think we can get it done. I know that once that gets done, a lot of development is going to go to that area. So I have a lot of respect for Galindo. We need her support. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair, quick question? Just a very
Yes.
quick question. You didn't mention the time. You mentioned the date, the time. You said 3 hours from what time?
Oh, from 8, be there 8 to 12. 8 to 12, May 1, Saturday, May 1. But you're all invited to come to the Arbor Day here at San Diego State. Every director will be planting one in the division. IID passed their Arbor Day proclamation yesterday. In that proclamation includes that we are going to give free trees. Not now, maybe in a year or 2 years, we're going to give free trees to all our ratepayers. That is something a lot of utility companies do. That's something that this proclamation that passed yesterday by IID has. We're going to be giving out trees to everybody, hopefully soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Supervisor. Mr. Supervisor Escobar.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Mayor, Council, Gaby, Miguel, Carlos, good evening. Haven't been here for a few weeks, so I'm glad to see all of you. I've got a couple of points. If I go over 3 minutes, I apologize, Mayor. You can kind of just twist my arm a little bit and let me know to finish it up. I gave you a couple copies of some recent resolutions that the county has made. The first one is the resolution on racism. I have 3 girls, I have 3 daughters, and I'm very passionate about this subject because 1, they're women, and 2, they're Mexican, or Mexican American. So it's like a double negative, that's not a positive. You don't really feel that in Imperial County because it's largely Hispanic population. But if you look at the entire footprint of the United States and the world, obviously being a minority in your own country and then also being a female has issues. So whenever I personally face some sort of racism, I think it's important that we address it as elected officials. So the county went above and beyond by this proclamation. I would encourage, as my city, City of Calexico, I believe it's been talked about before, I'm not sure if a resolution was actually made, but I would encourage you to look into something similar to what the county has done. I also attached another letter that was recently approved by the Board of Supervisors, and that is related to COVID-19. 2 issues on COVID-19 that I want to discuss. First, on the letter, as you may or may not be aware, there's a lot of migrant individuals and families. They're being dropped off en la esquina del Rocco y la Segunda, literalmente. They give the county 5-minute warning. The county needs to coordinate with nonprofits. We're relatively lacking in resources from a county perspective, from a nonprofit perspective. We're not San Diego County. We're not Riverside County. So when they do this, it obviously stretches and stretches and stretches the minimal assets that this county has. It puts a pressure on law enforcement, puts some pressure on EMS, obviously puts a pressure on these individuals that are not from here. They don't know left from right or where to go. So, and then you add the COVID twist, and that just adds insult to injury because we don't know these people are positive. We don't know their current situation. And because it's a national protocol, the government, from a federal perspective, is doing nothing about it. It's like, it's your problem, you deal with it. So that's what this letter is for, to give us the necessary research that at the end of the day, just test these individuals. It's a basic human right, not just for them, but for the people that are helping them out at the local level. So again, very passionate about this as well. Obviously, this is not a County of Imperial issue, this is a national issue. But again, all we can do is push the envelope as best as we can. The second portion of the COVID-19 pandemic issue that I want to address is that we are becoming overconfident in defeating this war, as my friend Ciro Calderon mentioned. Why are we becoming overconfident? A month ago, we were literally, and I don't want to use this word because it's a tough word, but we were literally dying to get an appointment to get a vaccine. Literally. Vaccine clinics filled up in a matter of hours, literally. In 2 hours, 1,000 slots were gone. Now, it takes 4 to 5 days to fill up a 300-person vaccine clinic. Again, people are getting complacent. What I'm worried about is the fact that we still have a lot of senior citizens who were 1A that still have not been vaccinated. We had a lot of senior citizens in Calexico, a huge portion of our population, that have not been vaccinated. They are not tech savvy. They are usually low to moderate income. And usually these are the type of people that are going to be listening to specific radio stations, listening to Canal 66, listening to Canal 3. They are obviously Spanish speaking. They speak limited to no English. And obviously they're very apprehensive about the vaccine because of what they hear. And it's a very divided crowd out there. 2 days ago, I had 2 individuals that I was speaking to in meetings, and these 2 individuals, nothing to do with each other, 2 separate conversations. One a friend of mine, one a local elected official, both adamant about not getting a vaccine. I respect their views. I don't agree with their views, but I respect their views. But the problem is this type of information is getting to our elderly population that is, for the most part, have limited education, they have limited resources, and they have limited knowledge of what is going on beyond their building, beyond their specific inner circle. So what we're trying to do at the county level is try to reach out to them through PSAs, paid advertisements, be it Canal 3, Canal 66, local print media. Obviously, social media doesn't resonate with them because they don't, most of them don't even have a cell phone, let alone a smartphone. So we're trying to be able to tackle this segment of the population that is the most vulnerable and be able to inoculate them as quickly as possible. So I urge you to assist in that regard to making sure that we're focused on that senior population, the lesser educated, the lower income individuals of our community that need us the most. Lastly, on roads, we're coming up on a road project for fiscal year 21-22. There's a couple of roads in Calexico that I know about that are in dire need of rehab. One of those is Bauker Road, heading north. The other is Clark Road, again, north to south. But I would encourage all of you, to please give me a heads up if there are other roads out there. And we need to do this ASAP because I want to get as many roads within our Calexico area. This is not the city of Calexico. This is county roads within the Calexico general area. And again, I mentioned two because I drive those and they need a rehab. But if you know of others, please let me know because again, I want to try to fight to get those included in our 21-22 plan.
Okay.
Lastly, if the mayor permits, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Give kudos, Supervisor Escobar. I know that a few weeks ago we had a meeting. You were here. CEO Rojodas and Becky, were here also. So thank you for that. And I didn't mention this. It's not because it was an oversight on my part, but I wanted you to be here to tell you that. Thank you for coming down. Thank you for bringing the CEO and the staff from the county to listen, to just engage in a conversation. And I think at that time, one of the points that we touched on, at least when I had a chance to speak to all of you, it was what you're touching on right now. When the issue was barely starting, that dropping off, these individuals, in addressing that issue, because I think it was barely starting, and we were scrambling to deal with that, and I'm glad that there was a response. Of course, it's not, how we want it to, or how we want this to be, and have the resources, but I mean, within, the possibilities, and we still have to be pushing for more, and at least to be able to engage in these conversations, and I know it's difficult dealing at the federal level also, but when these things happen, at least a heads up to our local authorities, whether it's our PD or local, first responders, that they have to go and respond to, an emergency. This is happening. So hopefully we can continue to engage with the federal government as we move on this. So hopefully there is an end in sight, soon. But chances are that it's not happening anytime soon. So let's continue the conversations. If there's anything else that we can, support as far as, support, letter of support, or anything that will help, and continue to raise our voices together, to the federal government.
Councilmember Garcia, I appreciate your comments. And two quick comments, Mayor, if I may. One is those one-on-one meetings don't have to end. I think it's very fruitful for us to get together on a one-on-one basis, the county and the city, just to share thoughts, share ideas, see how the county can support the city can support the county. At the end of the day, we're supporting our community, which is Calexico. That's the primary objective. To answer your comment specifically on the federal issue and the migration issue, we did have a meeting with Congressman Vargas. I would be lying to you to say that it was very fruitful, but at the end of the day, there is some support at the federal level. At least there is attempts of support at the federal level. This encompasses multiple jurisdictions, multiple departments, multiple elected offices across the country. So it's not an easy avenue to tackle. The fact that we were given a meeting, the fact that we were able to discuss this issue, the fact that there was some support there. And again, this is just one congressman out of over 500 in the country. And again, this is not just a county issue. This is not just a California issue. This is across our southern footprint. All the cities and all the counties that are bordering Mexico, along with more counties to the north, such as Riverside, Orange County, et cetera, within our jurisdiction. So again, this is not just our issue. The issue with Imperial County is the lack of resources that other counties have, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? Thank you.
Mayor, can I have just one more announcement?
Sure.
Very quick, I forgot. The local entity committee, which is myself and President Heck met. This is the agency that gave out a lot of money, 30 million, something like that. We want to close that program out. We have less than half a million, I don't want to say the number. But what we're deciding is we want to help out all those small organizations, small awards like 5,000, Little League, boxing gyms, maybe small projects from the city, $5,000, $10,000 projects. Other cities have submitted. I'm making an announcement to the community, send in your request. 5,000, 7,000, we have enough to help Calexico and I think the valley. We're not going to go and help the 100,000, 50,000. There's no more money. We want to close it out, and I think the decision was to help out small programs. So, just if you know, little leagues, soccer clubs, all those, Calexico, or small projects from the city. Thank you very much.
Public comments, Gabby, do we have some?
Yes, the first public comment comes from a list of 129 people. The issue is the Calexico City Council meeting of February 3rd, 2021, where a presentation from Liliana Falomir, Public Works Manager, Water Treatment Plant, and presentation by Jose Aldana, Supervisor, Water Treatment Plant. Both Aldana and Falomir made to the City Council the following comments. The switch from volatile and potential hazardous chlorine gas in the treatment process to a more stable and better for the environment. Liquid chlorine, also known as hypochlorine. The changeover will cost about $400,000. Questions to the City Council. Where's the facts and information? Why this aggressive push? The residents of Calexico, water users who pay the water bill, have many concerns on the comments made by the Public Works Department. We feel the health and safety issues should be made public along with fiscal cost analysis on this costly change, which will be paid by water ratepayers. We urge the City Council to have its staff conduct a full feasibility analysis with cost data analysis and references from the State of California Environmental Public Agency and the State California Water Board. Contact party Sean Sturkey, Director, State California Drinking Water Regulations, State of California Water Resources Board, State of California Environmental Protection Agency, telephone number 619-525-4159, email Sean, sean.sterchi@waterboards.ca.gov. Statement of facts. Regarding the City of Calexico usage of chlorine gas and water plant, the City of Calexico, like other water plants, has been utilizing chlorine gas since 1948. Many other municipalities likewise use chlorine gas, including the City of El Centro. Nationwide, it is commonly used for both cities and industrial usage. Death or serious injuries are virtually non-existent. City of Calexico has an outstanding safety record with the State of California EPA/Water Board. Over 15 years ago, the city and third-party engineering firm did a comprehensive feasibility study on the prospect of changing the chlorine gas to liquid chlorine bleach, recommended to stay with chlorine gas, and the City of El Centro did likewise. Municipality of Mexicali does use chlorine gas with no incidents, and they serve potable water to over 1 million residents. The city invested over $1.4 million in 2014 to upgrade its chlorine gas facilities considered state-of-the-art by safety regulators. Liquid chlorine bleach is costly and due to the high temperatures will require extra supplies. City of Calexico staff has not provided any supporting data or any factual historical evidence to support the change. State of California EPA regulator who monitors our plant has the authority to close our water treatment plant if it is unsafe and potentially hazardous. At this time, April 2021, no such documentation exists that our water plant poses a safety issue. It is well documented that chlorine gas is one of the safest alternatives in water treatment and is clearly the economical winner for cities. I'm going to read the list of people. Juan Banda, Abraham Sanchez, John Moreno, Victor Carrillo, Oscar Gastelum, Eduardo Lopez, Victor Bastidas, Adriana Bastidas, Martín Bastidas, Luis Briceño, Sandra Briceño, Emma Bastidas, Danny Tirado, Rogelio Rubio Jr., Tony S. Rubio, Rogelio Rubio Sr., Dora Rubio, Rosario Robles, Luis Rubio, Sonia Sánchez, Daniel Fonseca, Verónica Torres, Carlos Herrera, Gabino Ledesma, Ivette Trejo, Marcos Trejo, María de Lourdes Gastelum, Javier Gastelum, Inés Gastelum, José Juan Soberanes, Teresa Soberanes, Alisa Alvarado, Rebeca Alvarado, Ana Alvarado, Mario Alvarado, Lorenzo Calderón Sr., Marisela Calderón, Lorenzo Calderón Jr., Maritza Pasaraba, Siria Hurtado, Alexandro Calderón, Yolanda Robles, Antonio Robles, César Rodríguez, Rosa María Rodríguez, César Rodríguez Jr., Ricardo Gutiérrez, Chira Gutiérrez, María Virginia Rodríguez, Consuelo Bastidas, Raúl Alvarado, Emma Castorena, Mike Aldana, Margarita Aldana, Alex Sánchez, Luis Carvajal, Jesús Huerta, Norberto Martínez, Héctor Chávez, Tony Tirado, David Tirado, Fernando Acosta, Cristina Aras, Juan Rodríguez, Lupe Rodríguez, Arturo Juárez, Judith Bermúdez, Carlos Ibarra, Jesús Fernández, María Fernández, Rubén Castro, Maricruz Castro, Socorro Castro, Enrique Ortiz, Joe Campos, Lupe Campos, Marisela García, Alberto García, Aida Telles, César Cano, Frank Castellum, Adriana Cano, Beatriz Cano, Gastón López, María Elena López, Margarita López, Gastón López Jr., Gildardo Castellum, Lucila Castellum, Cristina Villalobos, Diana Villalobos, Tony Juárez, Jenny Juárez, Carlos Corrales, Lupita Corrales, Jorge Calacna, Carmen Calacna, Víctor Rodríguez, Tina Rodríguez, Joyce Aguirre, Juan Blanco, Ernie Medina, Norma Reyes, Alex Sandra Lepe, Sergio Panela, Marta Panela, Mario Mesa, Blanca Velarde, Arturo Antunes, Oscar Trejo, Gallo Lepe, Ricardo Plazola, Chuy Ineques, Daniel Gutiérrez, Enrique Rubalcaba, Gloria Grijalva, Javier Montaño, Jessica Calderón, Jesús Navarro, Joe López, Martín Bermúdez, Francisco Telles, José Rivera, Rodolfo Villanueva, José Hinojosa, Loli Torres, Belinda Alvarado, Raúl Alvarado Jr., Rafael González, Alba Romero, Enrique García, Pete Sánchez, Adela Sánchez, and Steven Panela.
Is that all we have?
No, I have two more. This message is from Mr. Lorenzo Calderon. Good evening, honorable members of the City Council. My name is Lorenzo Calderon, 1233 Margarita Street. I support the resolution which restricts the sale of used vehicles on city streets. Calexico is a beautiful city and does not need an added nuisance on its streets, not to mention the safety of our citizens. Thank you for the support at this time. I have one more. This comment is from Francisco Beltrán. A quien corresponda, yo como comerciante estoy muy preocupado por mi economía y mi negocio. Primero era la pandemia y ahora la inseguridad por los rateros que se meten a los negocios y que amenazan nuestras vidas.
Okay, anybody else? That's it. Okay, city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Two items that I want to touch on. One of them is follow-up to a request that Councilman Garcia made at the last city council meeting. as it pertains to the zoning in downtown for mixed use. In other words, what this means is a combination of residential and commercial. Going back and doing some research, and I do want to identify this as an update, not a full report, but I do want to make sure that we have continuity. So when we talked about this, one of the things that we obviously want to make sure is we know we have empty buildings in downtown. We want to make sure that we address them, and one of the tools from several years ago to make that happen was the changing in the zoning. With that said, there was an initial effort in 2016 from what the city clerk, myself, and staff were able to find. However, that effort from 2016 was done without going through the proper process of the Planning Commission and doing a formal zoning change. That occurred in 2018. May 14th, 2018 to be precise, this item was taken to the Planning Commission of the City of Calexico. From there, a recommendation was made that it be brought to the City Council. On June 6, 2018, that's when the public hearing and the first reading occurred to make the change in zoning for downtown. As a result of that, we have received interest from some outside parties, not local individuals, but outside parties to want to take advantage of this opportunity. So with that said, what's going to be part 2 of this update that I'm going to give you, which is going to come at the following meetings, is going to be us giving you precise information on the inventory that we have of properties that could actually benefit from this mixed-use zoning change. With that said, and I do want to share an anecdotal story really fast. We all remember the Elks Lodge. The Elks Lodge was very close to being bought and being developed into a mixed-use project. It was unfortunate, as we know, that there was a fire and the building was not able to be saved and it got torn down. To this day, I still have conversations with a group that intended to use that building for that use. There is still the opportunity to explore that, but it's not the same to build from the ground up than to just rehab an existing building. So part 2 of what's to come will include some of these things that I'm sure the rest of the council and yourself, Mr. Garcia, obviously would want to keep on knowing. Just want to make sure that we let you know that we're working on it. We provided some initial report on the research we've done, but it's going to continue. The second item that I want to bring to your attention is that on March 10th, 2021, the Housing and Community Development Department issued an amendment to round 2 and round 3 of the CDBG monies that were made available by the state to the cities. This amendment allowed for cities to submit their applications by the deadline of May 7th. I want to share with you that staff and myself, specifically staff from the planning department, for the past 6 weeks have been working as our schedules allow on the proposal that's going to be coming to you in the form of a resolution. What we're going to be presenting are opportunities that we can tap into as community development projects and economic development projects. Those are the 2 criteria for which we can go after and apply for these monies. There's already a specific designation of money that was given to the city of Calexico. What we're going to do is that based on our analysis, we're going to be able to present you what we feel are some of the immediate needs that we can address with these monies. To be precise, and I'll just do the sum of round 2 and round 3, it represents $622,246. Again, if you want to make a note, $622,246 that we are entitled here in Calexico to receive from this program. So please just be on the lookout as I anticipate for the May 5th meeting that we're going to be presenting to you folks the work that we've been doing as it pertains to this matter. On my end, Madam Mayor, unless there's any questions, that is what I had to present.
I know real quick, thank you, Miguel, for the update and the follow-up, but like you said, I would like to see a plan, because that's part of the whole strategy, to work in downtown, to work on revitalizing downtown in our entire community. You also mentioned commission, that was part of that issue that came up in that, in the past. So let me go back to just the commissions. Let's make sure that, we involve the commissions and we start engaging the commissions. And that's just overall, right? I want to see also the commissions get involved, that they're part of the process, the discussion, the recommendations that come before, the council. And that, they have already had discussions. And again, part of the reasons why we reach out to commissioners or to individuals from the community to become commissioners is because we wanted to get engaged. We wanted to be out there and be the spokespersons of what's going on here, the ambassadors. So yeah, engage that, and also I would like to see also as soon as possible a meeting of the Measure H commission or committee, to look into that. We need to go back. We need to look at all those finances and what has happened. So just so we continue with, let's say, I don't want to say a clean slate, but a plan. We're working on a lot of things, that. We're working on, the housing element. We're working on a strategic plan. We're working so many plans, but at the end of the day, if we don't engage the community, if we don't really have a clear strategy, all those plans are going to continue to be more of the same, where we just gathered information, opinions, thoughts, and they go on the shelf. So that's not what I want to happen. And I appreciate all the work, right? But we're here to help, and I think all of us are here to roll up our sleeves and help out. So just my comment to that.
Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay.
Just one thing. Out of the $622 plus dollars, is that anything tied to the promenade? Can it be linked or no?
No, this is actually, you mean the Rockwood Plaza
Right.
Promenade? It's completely separate.
It's separate?
It's an added-on incentive
Okay.
that the state is giving the cities so we can attack the impacts because of COVID-19
Got it.
that we face.
All right, thank you.
No?
Thank you.
Thank you. City council comments and reports of meetings attended. Mrs. Romo, you'll be first.
I will just make a comment, Madam Mayor. On April 13, I visited the Calexico Orthopedic Clinic, located since 1982 on 1st Street. I am very impressed and grateful for the support that this clinic has given the thousands and thousands of children with orthopedic problems. I understand that the clinic building needs to be repaired and remodeled, but the UCLA Orthopedic Institute is supporting the Calexico Clinic to start the remodeling as soon as possible. Madam Mayor, I would like to ask the Honorable Council to acknowledge the important work that the orthopedic clinic continues to give in our community and abroad, fuera extranjeros. This request will be for our next meeting, please. Thank you.
Okay, is that all you have, Mr. Romo? Yes, okay, Mr. Garcia?
Yes, real quick, in the essence of time, I would like to recognize, just last week we were celebrating, and actually hopefully thank them, to that, all that, well, actually it was the National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. All of our dispatchers, all of the ones that, respond and tend to the emergency calls. So kudos to all of them. Kudos to what they do. They're unsung heroes also that we don't get to see. So again, and also today, congratulations to all the administrative professionals on their day. but it should be every day, for the work that they do. Also, I had a chance to participate in a meeting with Accessity, formerly known as Access. And pretty much what they do, they help entrepreneurs get access to capital from loans from $300 to $100,000. Whoever has an idea, start up a business, needs direction. They have a local chapter on the new branding. Again, it's Accessity now. Accessity. The number that they can call for services, 760-223-9394 with Larissa Urias. And then also, I participated in the Zoom call with the League of Cities, where actually the Treasury Department Deputy Secretary, Wally De Yemo, participated in that, and he was actually the main speaker in just going over, the rescue plan and how, and actually there were about another 600 participants in that call. And all of us kind of like had the same, questions, guidelines, how we're going to be able to, municipalities access those monies, and not just access the monies, but spend those monies. So again, their advice is that, actually, that the message was that the federal government is here to help, the cities, and to also make sure that, we do this with equity, and again, just to help, get back to even better as to how we went into this pandemic, or before going into this pandemic. Just to keep an eye on the Treasury Department's website, that's where they will be issuing the guidelines. So just to keep on checking. So for staff, and I will be doing the same thing. Hopefully soon we'll see those guidelines as to how we're going to be able to use those funds. Thank you.
Mr. Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Madam Mayor, we had our second stakeholder meeting with the Farm Worker Service Center, and so hopefully by next City Council meeting, I'll have an update. A presentation is moving along here. It appears that we did identify the orthopedic clinic as possible viable solution for that. As you know, the farm workers are lacking temporary shelters during extreme weathers in the winter, as we all know, and so also this it's also going to take care of the problem with the sanitary facilities that they're so desperately need during those times. So as moving along here on Friday, we should be able to have something more concrete, and what we want to do is have a commitment by the nonprofit organization who's going to take the lead on that. So hopefully by Friday they will be able to commit. Once we have that, we'll present a more formal proposal with cities so they can now start the next phase on that. The only thing I got to report. Thank you.
Mr. Ureña?
Thank you. I have two quick updates. Both of them are COVID related. Thank you, Mr. Escobar, for telling us a little bit about the update on the vaccine rollout. When the COVID committee was established, we knew that this was going to become a problem. As soon as we vaccinated the people that had access, that were tech savvy, that wanted the vaccine, that had no problems with transportation to get the vaccine, we knew that that time would end, and we would start trying to vaccinate the people that were hard to get. And now, as Mr. Escobar has notified us, we are there. The COVID committee had a vaccine access equity as one of its central tenets. The COVID committee was dismantled at the start of the vaccine rollout. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to extend the same equity that it did to testing access to vaccine rollout because it was dismantled. So now we're left with no centralized effort for vaccine equity rollout access in the city of Calexico. We have no effort that is community informed. There is no united front. There's a big gap, and we're starting to see the effects of the lack of the COVID committee. Some proposals were made by this council of why a COVID committee was not necessary to address these equity concerns. Well, the equity concerns are now on the table. What is the plan without the COVID committee? How are we going to address the growing problem of getting these hard to reach people. I do want to say there are organizations like Salud Sin Fronteras from Comité Cívico, allied with Comité Cívico, that are directly attacking this issue by registering farm workers, registering elderly people, educating people with facts on the vaccine so that they're not misinformed into not getting the vaccine. They were a big ally and a big participant in the COVID committee, and now we've lost touch with them because there is no more COVID committee. There were some proposals that we should go around in a truck with a megaphone to educate and inform our community on the vaccine rollout. Maybe that's something we can still implement, but time's urgent, the problem is here, and I still haven't seen an alternate proposal for the functions that the COVID committee was doing effectively, aggressively on a volunteer basis. CDC guidelines number 2. There has been a lot of calls from the community wanting there to be open meetings, obviously limited and following the Imperial County Public Health Department guidelines. I requested an update from Jeanette at the Imperial County Public Health Department to see what the change in tier meant for us and our capacity to open up the City Hall. I want to see it open. I feel like it is safe now, especially since we've gone from purple to red, from red to orange. Now that we're in orange, this is the guideline for indoor participation. Indoor participation, orange, moderate, tier 3. Indoors. Attendance must be limited to a maximum of 150 people. All attendees must show proof of a negative test or full vaccination. In addition, separately, at the beginning of this month, the CDC updated its guidelines saying that fully vaccinated people, as long as 2 people are fully vaccinated, they can now safely gather in the same room without adhering to social distancing or having to wear masks. Because of the vaccine, because of testing, there's no reason to have this closed. And I will refer to the attorney, whether this is a decision that's made exclusively by the mayor or if this is something that can be brought as a future agenda item. I don't know how this decision is made of who gets to come into this chamber, but in this community that has been having difficulty, and on the city side, we've also had difficulty using Zoom. There's a great need for having this space open. The County of Imperial had never closed its doors. It always had public access available in limited capacities with no incidents. And I feel like the people want this place to be open. They need it because this is a community without the same computer literacy or the same computer access. And whether that's the mayor's decision or this council's decision, a decision has to be made because we've gone up 2 tiers and the people are asking for political participation. Thank you.
Are you done, Mr. Ureña?
Yes.
Okay, to answer your question, no, I do not decide if people could come in and attend our meetings, okay, just to clear that. Another thing, we are following the guidelines. You heard what they said. You have to show that you're vaccinated and you have to show that you're COVID-free, okay? So right now, we're planning, we're working on how we're gonna start letting people in for your information. The information that you gave is on the website. That's the information that Mr. Escobar sent us through via email. Was it yesterday, I think it was, Mr. Wright? And thank you for updating us with that. Okay, I guess I'm moving. Now is my report on the county. I do attend the county health department weekly. That's where we get our information and updates that is being distributed through our website by Gabby. Also, we met with the Mexican consulate again, along with the county officials, again, regarding the commercial lines coming across the border, which is something that has been an issue. And again, they wanted updates on when they're going to be opening the border. And we celebrated the 113 last Friday, and thank you for everybody that attended. Thank you, Gabby, for putting everything together. The cake was delicious. And also, and I did attend via Zoom with our pro tem on the stakeholders for the support with the resource center that you're working on through also through Zoom. And at this time, that's all I have, and I just want to thank everybody for being here, and we have to continue being safe, and we do have to follow the guidelines, and I think which we are. I think our city has been following the COVID as we've been advised by the county. Okay, now to the consent agenda. Do you have a motion for the consent agenda?
So move. I'll second that.
Okay. Now moving on to discussion and potential.
Vote.
No.
I need to vote. The roll.
Vote.
Oh, you said?
Councilmember Garcia?
Aye.
Councilmember Romo? Councilmember Ureña?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Moreno?
Aye.
Mayor Arturo Fernandez?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, now, so now we are for the discussion and potential action items. 1520, 20-21, third quarter budget status report and proposed budget amendment resolution.
Madam Mayor, thank you. Members of the council, members of the community that are following our meeting. As we normally do every 3 months, we come to you and we present to you a status update on our budget. It's an ethical practice on our behalf as an administration to do so. One of the things that I wanted to also let you know is that it gives us the opportunity to bring to your attention any changes that have transpired from the previous report so we can have a better understanding of where we stand and what has transpired that requires your input and your participation. We're good, Gab? Thank you very much. With that said, there are a couple of items that are worth noting that we need to make sure that we convey. So let's begin the presentation as we normally do. This is going to be an interactive presentation between Finance Director Carla Lovatos and myself. Okay, the objectives of the presentation. We obviously want to provide an update as to where we stand to the end of the third quarter for fiscal year 2021. And we also want to make sure that we update the ending fund balance. This is critical because if we are to maintain a structured operation as it pertains to the city's finances, just like we were informed by the Pun Group represented by Ken Pun when we presented our audited financials, we need to continue along the same trend of what we've been doing for the past years. With that in mind, this is a visual of where we stand right now as it pertains to the general fund. So Carla, can you just walk us down through this, please?
Good evening, council members. We're starting our year, we're updating our beginning fund balance. On March 30th, we presented our audited financials for 1920. So now our beginning balance is a solid number. We have $1 million on beginning fund balance. This has been put aside for reserves. We had a budgeted fund balance of $1 million and $1.2 million. We're updating on this quarter 3,302. It's not a lot, but we continue to have a balanced budget, and we're projecting to have an ending working capital of $1.5 million. We'll go to the details on the next slides, but this is how we're starting and how we were projecting we're going to end up with this fiscal year.
So let's put things into perspective, as Ms. Lovatos just mentioned. What does this mean? This means that the city has this dollar amount of $1,005,763 in our reserves. So, although we're not making the leaps and balances to grow our reserves as fast as we would want, we have reserves as a city. And obviously that's significant to say, considering the recent woes that the city experienced on its finances in the 2010s. With that said, however, that doesn't take away from some of the setbacks that we've experienced because of COVID and that we continue to experience as it pertains to the revenue losses, which we're going to get to in a bit. So here what you have is the fiscal year 2021 general fund net internal changes or transfers. In essence, this is the gist of why we consider imperative that we come to you every quarter, because things change. So with that said, Carla, can you please let us know what are those items that have changed?
As we do every quarter, we review absolutely all of our revenue accounts, all of our expenditures account. At this time, we're going to look at our revenues. We look at projections, we see trends, we determine how I believe, or my department believes, we're going to end up with this fiscal year. Not only do I do that, I go to this, I review these changes with the city manager, and we determine what the best course of action is. As Mr. Figueroa mentioned, and I've been mentioning, we continue to have a balanced budget. It is important to mention that we continue to maintain our expenditures at the same level as our revenues. It is important, even though we've had major setbacks, we're still trending to be right on budget and have a balanced budget. With that said, we are increasing our property tax based on projections that our consultants have provided us. Same for sales tax. We're being conservative on our approach. We're not, considering COVID, we're not being really, we're not taking big steps on this. We're being conservative. We don't want to give you too much of good news and then have to take them back. Again, if we want to continue to have a balanced budget, we need to be conservative on both our revenues and our expenditures. We have other general revenues that have increased, and this might be rents, it could be cannabis tax. There's a lot of detail that goes into this. Our program revenues have been decreased, and this would be on the department's revenues. That could be police department, fire department, community development, and Measure H is trending to be a little bit higher than we had projected in the past, so that's bringing us to $100,000 increases on revenues.
So, and I just moved on to the next slide, and for those that are watching at home, I apologize for the small print, but we will make sure that this copy is made available so everybody can review. In other words, just continuing on what Finance Director Lovatos just mentioned, this is a summary of some of the other changes that occurred during the past quarter as it pertains to expenditures from what we originally had reported as part of the second quarter report. Do you wish to complement that, Ms. Lovatos?
Again, as I said, for revenues, we go through every single line item that we have, and this is just general fund. We also go to the same exercise for non-general fund accounts, but every single account is reviewed to make sure that if there's a potential for us to have savings, we do it, and if we don't and we need to increase our budget, then we will as well. Included in here is the item that was approved a few meetings ago for cannabis expenditures. We're giving the appropriation for the departments to spend that money. So, and if you approve it, then departments can go ahead and start their process of purchasing.
That's a very good point, and let's just emphasize on that. So a few meetings back, we had a discussion as it pertained to some of this revenue that's being received by the city through the cannabis industry. Direction was given, so what Ms. Lovatos just shared with us is being congruent with following the proper fiscal process to reflect that in our budget. And by that we mean the expenditures that were allowed for this to happen. So with that in mind, this is the image, the slide that we show every time we come up here with our quarterly budget presentations, in which we do the best that we can in summarizing to the best of our knowledge and capability, a summary of what it represents to not only make the adjustments, but have a better perspective as to where we're seeing some of the losses and where we're seeing some of the gains. Ms. Lovatos, do you care to share anything on this slide?
Again, as Mr. Figueroa mentioned, this is just a summary. We already went through the detail. There's more detail on the attachments that you received. This is just a summary of how we're making the changes.
This next slide provides to you a more detailed understanding of the first slide that we presented. And that is there to the bottom right corner. You see the fund balance that we discussed. In essence, this is what the city has once we do the whole comparison and analysis of expenditures to revenues. We're on the upside right now, as we've already detailed. Yes, it's minuscule, the growth that we saw from one quarter to the next, but those are the numbers. And that is even through the pandemic and the fiscal impacts that it's had on our sales tax. This is how we still continue to operate. And aside from that, reflect here where we stand right now as it pertains to reserves and the ending funding balance, which is what we're all concerned about. Yes, we have a very comprehensive, we have a very detailed budget, but at the end of the day, we want to know where we stand as it pertains to our fund balance. That's what we should care about, that's what our community cares about. So with that said, the next two slides have to do precisely with the sales tax numbers. And as we continue to see, and I want to point something out here. The reason you see here December 2019 compared to December 2020, those are the last set of hard data that we've received from our sales tax auditor. Meaning that the last up-to-date data that we've received on our sales tax, and this has nothing to do with projections. These are the actual hard numbers, are from this quarter. We anticipate to have the following quarter, when, Ms. Lovatos?
By mid-May.
Mid-May, that's when we receive the numbers.
Right. It usually takes, once the quarter ends, it takes about 3 to 4 months for even the state to have hard numbers, and then they provide us with the information.
There are a couple of things here, and this is just a pie chart of that. That's the end of the presentation. But there is one thing here that I do want to point out, that it's good not only for the council, as we've discussed, but also for the community to know. You folks, if you consider that this budget amendment resolution should move forward, in other words, accepting what we presented, this is going to include, as part of the expenditures, we're looking at some of the items that were approved as it pertains to the cannabis money, the police vehicle that we talked about, some key items for the fire department, which includes uniforms and radios. And there is another component here that I want to make sure that we all learn about. And that is that we're going to have the opportunity to purchase a used ambulance. A used ambulance in the amount of $64,000. How did this opportunity come about? This opportunity came about because we are part of a regional cooperative group in which, following our procurement policy, whenever opportunities like this come up, we can take advantage in a good way where we don't need to waste time in a full blown out procurement process, but if the monies are there, we can use these tools to obtain what we need. So in this case, this is a combination of the fire department working with the finance department as it pertains to the revenues that are coming in, the department expenditures, but also at the same time, the opportunity to take advantage of something like this. With that said, this is not the ultimate solution. It's not the ultimate solution. I do want to be clear that we are still going to have an issue as it pertains to our ambulance service, but at least we're taking a step in the right direction to make sure that we have a tool that's going to provide a better service as it pertains to our EMS, as it pertains to what our firefighters do on a daily basis. And again, I do want to make emphasis on something. Are we going right now through some difficult times as it pertains to the revenue losses we're experiencing? Yes, we are. Ms. Lovatos, on this item in particular, because it's important and we need to make it clear, do you just care to please share your perspective as to how it is that we came about this opportunity as it pertains to the numbers? I also want to call on the chief right now so he can share with us the implementation operational side of it, please.
Absolutely. As Mr. Figueroa mentioned, there's been opportunities, and as I mentioned, when I go to the process that I'm doing our quarterly report, I review every account, and when there's a possibility, we take advantage of it. There were some items that were budgeted for that have not been used, and those opportunities were given, and that provided for the ambulance, for us to be able to purchase that ambulance. Not only that, we've been holding a lot of our vacancies. We're not fully staffed, and that provided for some vacancy allowance that was given to the fire department so that they were able to provide the service to our community. We know it's a needed service, and so we took some of that money, we provided it to the fire department so that they can purchase this ambulance. It's much needed. We can't provide the service to our community if we don't have one. So that's how we implemented this. There's a little bit of risk in us taking vacancy allowances. We need to continue to watch our overtime. We still need to continue to be vigilant of our expenditures. We need to be very careful. We need to be conservative. But at this point, we believe this is something we can do, especially because it's a service we need to provide to our community.
Chief, can you please share with the council and with the community some of the recent happenings that you've experienced as it pertains to the ambulance service? We know it's been a long overdue situation. That's why I want to point out this is not the ultimate solution to the problem. We are still targeting potentially moving forward into the next fiscal year, if the resources are there, to continue to focus on a potential lease program for ambulances that could increase the ambulances that we have in the city. Please, Chief, go ahead.
Thank you, City Manager. I first want to say I appreciate the opportunity to come up here and speak to you about this ambulance purchase. So as you know, we're the only city in the Imperial County that offers the ambulance service, right? You're also aware that we're one of the largest cities that does not have a hospital. Therefore, the moniker that we have for our ambulance service is lately it's been the hospital on wheels, right? We know that we've had our donations by the Heffernan Board of our ambulances. They've done their job. Unfortunately, we got to the point where we had some mechanical issues that were not repairable in a timely fashion. So we found both of our ambulances out of service. Thank you to AMR. They were able to lend us an ambulance. We've been still providing the service to our citizens via the AMR ambulance. So in order for us to maintain the service, we obviously need to purchase a new ambulance, right? Unfortunately, to purchase a brand new ambulance, it takes about 6 to 7 months before you're able to get one. So if we were to do that, we're looking into December before we'll actually have a unit here. So in the meanwhile, we were able to find a fairly new ambulance, low mileage, that will meet the immediate need that we're currently, what the need is right now. Not only that, if in the future it allows us to purchase the ambulances that was mentioned by City Manager and also the City Council, this allows us to have a working, or actually a very effective reserve unit in our ambulance fleet. So I can answer any questions, specific questions if you have for that, but this is a great need for the city, where obviously our calls have increased, and we're also trying to prepare in the event that we do have a escalation of COVID cases.
Anybody have anything? No?
I have something, Madam Mayor.
And real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I can say this, the first one to say that this is not the best way to fix it. Unfortunately, our back is against the wall, and this is probably going to be the easiest, fastest way to resolve this until we figure out how the finances work and see the purchasing of a new ambulance.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you for your service also. As you know, I'm always your champion for public safety, right? The first responders, who are we going to call at 3 o'clock in the morning is going to be the fire or the police. So it's always top priority for me, always going to be among everything else. So I really appreciate what you're doing. And so moving forward, what would be a good, if you're based on your experience, 3, 4 ambulances? Or 2, 3, or we're looking at?
It would be appropriate for like a city like ourselves, right, with no hospital, no after-hours clinics for medical emergencies. For the city of Calexico to have a robust EMS department, correct? That'd be the ambulance service. In order for us to do that, it would be nice for us to at least have a minimum of 4 ambulances. And it could be 2 at all times, and we have 2 for reserves. It's just something like that would be appropriate for a city of our size and appropriate for the call volume that we have in the city.
So you're getting one, and then you're working on, well, the other one's probably gonna be just donated somewhere, right? It's out, probably. But so you're getting one, and so you will need 3 extra ones.
So the numbers right now, what we have right now, we have 2 ambulances that are owned by the city of Calexico. One is going to be ready in about 2 weeks, and that is receiving a new transmission and new motor.
Okay.
And that's under warranty, okay? So we're getting that back. The other ambulance that's in there also requires a new motor, new transmission, but also a couple other things that fiscally doesn't make sense to repair. You're putting too much money into it, other things are bound to happen. So that leaves us with 1 running ambulance, right? We get the second ambulance that we have proposed to purchase, gives us 2 now. We have providing 2, but leaves us with no reserve. So in the future, if allowed, 2 new ambulances would be ideal for the citizens.
And then we could also lease, because then that's maintenance free. We don't incur the cost of maintenance. So if you lease them, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You can always change them every year.
Yes. That's how we should be doing it from now on, is leasing. That way we get, at the end of the 5 years, we get a brand new one and we're not worried about maintenance on it.
So I guess my next question is for the manager, is that feasible, practical, based on?
Oh, yes, I think it's been clear that the proper fiscal way to follow to counter this problem is to potentially lease first 1 ambulance and then 2. Why? Because what we need to make sure is that we have that backup, right? So if we get, for example, a newly leased ambulance, we don't want to continue to run the potential 2 that we will have, because we want to reserve one of those, and we just want to run the best ones, right? We want to run the best ones that we know that are not going to let us down. But regardless, if something were to happen, we have something to fall back on. So it would be fiscally responsible for us, when our finances allow, that we look to first lease 1 ambulance, and potentially, if things get even better, a second one. How close are we at this point? We don't know, because of a lot of the unknowns with our economy and our finances, just as we reported right now. But are we getting closer? Yes, we are. Absolutely. Do we still need to balance that off with all the other needs that we have? Yes. But at a minimum, what I want this council and the community to see is that we're making progress. That at a minimum, we can tell our community that we're going to have 2 functional ambulances if obviously this resolution is to pass. Which again, it's that public service, that we need to meet and that we need to provide.
Also, if you're going to have 2 functioning ambulances, then you're also going to recoup some of that money you charge.
Of course, yeah.
So you're gonna put more money into the pot. So hence, you get 4, you double the return on investment, right?
Correct. And in closing, I'd just like to say a thank you to the EMS personnel, our firefighters. Thank you for bearing with us. I know this is not ideal. I know you come into work, long hours, the call volume has increased, and now that, a piece of equipment that you're using is not ideal. Believe me, it hurts me, and not in a bad way, to see another business in my parking lot, right? Because we take pride in how we do our service here. We take pride with our ambulance going down the streets as City of Calexico Fire Department. That's something that we take and we hold dearly. I apologize that we have to do that this time, but we're fixing it. Just know that we're fixing it. Thank you to my guys.
And at the end of the day, I just want to remind everybody, do we have a lot of needs? Yes, we do. But when we're able to align the services that the community needs to get through my departments, in this case, finance and fire, and we can come up with a way in which we can address and provide this council an opportunity to give us the chance to provide that service, we're going to continue to do it. On our end, we're as creative as they come. And this is not only with fire, but with my other departments to make sure that we at a minimum provide an efficient service to our people.
Thank you, Chief. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, I do have some questions and some comments
Sure.
for City Manager and Ms. Lobatos on the financials of this proposal.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. A couple of basic questions on what's being proposed here on the updates. We have a reduction of $323,500 in salaries and benefits. Generally, primarily, where is that coming from?
Again, that's what I had mentioned, where we're taking a vacancy allowance. That's for positions that have not been filled. They
Mhm.
were budgeted, the money was there, the FTE was there, we just did not fill the position. So there were some savings under salaries and benefits, mainly coming from the city manager's department and also my department. So that's where the savings are coming from.
And
positions that
I
were
think
not filled.
it's important that that distinction be made.
Yeah.
Because we need to acknowledge that every department in the city has given something to make sure that we can come to you and share those numbers, right? Share that fund balance. As it pertains to these types of things, as it pertains to some of these opportunities where we can use vacancy allowances, for example, I'll take the hit. Carla takes the hit as it pertains to our departments, because the last thing we need is a lot of the other departments are the ones that are actually out in the field providing the service. So it's important that we make that distinction. Mr. Councilman Ureña, please.
Muchas gracias. Excellent. Okay, so, I mean, we really have, I know this is an administrative decision on what vacancy allowances you guys decide to proceed and which ones you actually decide to go ahead and fill. I was told I was told that we were going to hire an economic development coordinator. The position went up. That's $120,000. Quite frankly, when I was told that, I thought this position, especially one for requiring only a bachelor's degree, was going to be somewhere closer to $60,000 to $80,000. I was under the impression and under the hope that it was going to be an economic development coordinator plus a grant writer so that we can bring in more revenues to the city. But instead of getting assistant city manager, which would be very functional for a stressed city manager department, I don't see how that's going to generate anything immediate for us. Just putting that out there. Second question, out of the $200,000 on the increase in expenditures for vehicles, you said $64,000 was for the ambulance. Where is the rest of the $140K going to?
Ms. Lobatos, if I'm not mistaken, that's where the police vehicle comes
There's
in?
a police vehicle included, and I'll have to look at the detail. I want to say the police vehicle is about 140,000, so it might be there.
Do you mind if we point to the second page of the staff report, Ms. Lobatos, because there you have a breakdown?
Yes, it is $73,000 for a patrol vehicle. We have 64 on the ambulance.
And the equipment replacements are the ones for the fire department that were approved. In this case, as it pertains to the radios and uniforms.
Okay.
So
Right,
those elements would provide that number.
Cool.
Right, and as I mentioned, this item was approved, and once it's approved, we still need to do a budget amendment resolution so that we can put the appropriations in the budget so that they can go ahead and spend the money. If it's not there, then honestly, the auditors would not approve of us to do that, so I'm just following procedure.
Excellent. No, absolutely makes sense. And so, just to be clear, $72,000, we're going to buy one police vehicle. I'm glad that that's coming up to the surface because very evidently we didn't have to sacrifice our cannabis money and our public restrooms for farm workers to buy a police vehicle, in my opinion. Next question. There's a Measure H transfer listed here. I do have a couple questions. A Measure H transfer that is $100,000. Can you explain to me how that transfer works? Is that a loan that comes back into the Measure H fund, or is that just a subsidy for the general fund?
some cities decide to keep their measure H or their additional tax along with the general fund. We have decided to create a different fund, which is our measure H fund. So that's money that comes to us through sales tax. We have projected it at a little lower. It's trending to be higher than we had projected, so that's why we're trying. Again, if you look at the financial statements, it's going to be grouped together. It's not separate. We do it this way for budgeting reasons, but at the end of the day, it's just revenue to the city as sales tax.
Okay, excellent. Reading the budget report, what's presented in front of me for fiscal year 2020 to 2021 is a balanced budget with $15 million, $15,342,046 in revenues, and overall operating expenditures igual 15 millones. It says here that there was a projection that there was going to be a measure H, that there was going to be sales tax increases because the border would reopen by the end of April. That is not going to occur, and I really don't think we're going to see an open border maybe until June, maybe July at the very earliest. This balanced budget, does that take into account that assumption? Because that assumption is not true, do we no longer?
That's a good question, Councilman Ureña, so we can put things into perspective as it pertains to one of the unknowns that we have, which is when the restriction's going to be lifted for that economy to come back to the city. And that is that we receive projected revenue numbers from our sales tax auditor. And this is where the risk factor comes in on using those numbers, because if those numbers are extremely confident as it pertains to our revenue going up, Ms. Lovatos and I tend to be a little careful with that because nothing's too good to be true, especially we've learned that through this pandemic, we need to be conservative as it pertains especially on revenues. So what I can share with you is that you've seen the dynamic through each of these quarters for this fiscal year that we figure out a way to balance our budget within our fiscal year budget. We figure out a way where we take something to make sure that we make up the loss. In this case, through the almost north of $1 million loss on sales tax that we've experienced. Aside from that, that's not touching what we have in our savings account, as we call it, right? So with that said, what I can share with you for the final quarter, which is normally the closeout quarter that we call, we're being very careful in terms of what we are projecting in terms of revenues as it pertains to closing out the fiscal year. So, Ms. Lovatos, do you care to complement that?
Yes, and again, as I had mentioned earlier, we monitored every account, both revenues and expenditures, regularly so that we do not overspend any money. So if we see that our revenues are dropping, we will continue to monitor the expenditures so that we don't overspend any money. So this is every single day, everything's looked at, both revenues and expenditures.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. So in your professional opinion, do you think we're going to have to make more cuts by the end of this quarter?
I think we're going to have to revisit our expenditure schedule. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I would not dare say that that's not going to be the case.
Okay, sounds good. So,
Mr. Figueroa, excuse me.
Go ahead.
Okay, Madam.
So,
Mr. Figueroa, why do you always the Mayor J's money transfer? For what? Only Mayor J.
Measure H.
H, pardon, excuse me.
Ms. Lovatos, I think can you provide a little bit more detail on what you shared?
That's what I mentioned. Some cities decide to keep Measure H together with their sales tax as part of the sales tax.
Yes.
We have decided to put it aside and we monitor separately, but we have budgeted to be lower. As I mentioned, we monitor these accounts regularly and it's trending to be higher than what it was, so we're transferring the money back to the general fund. At the end of the day, it's general fund money.
In my opinion, we must seek in another type of income. I don't know, maybe go to the federal funds, state funds. For what only Mayor J? It's H.
That's right.
Uh-huh.
Measure H is part of the sales tax. It's part of the sales tax
I know.
that the city collects. If we were to go through federal grants or state grants, those are restricted as how the money can be spent, and they're very specific as how the money is spent. So if we were to do that, we would have to create another fund and track both revenues and expenditures at the same time. That's one of the reasons why we have so many funds.
Ms. Lovatos, and I think this is going to help the conversation. Can you share a little more with us as to, right now, the Measure H monies that are being received do carry out the purpose for what they were intended to, and I'm talking about right now in present time, which is to offset some of the public safety expenses that we have. So with that said, but that doesn't take away from something that I heard earlier today by the council as a recommendation, and that is for the remaining commissions that have not met to meet, including the Measure H commission, where items pertaining to those monies can be discussed. Aside from reporting that the purpose of the money is being put to that use right now, just so we can have that periodic conversation and there can be that assessment, right?
Okay.
I will take your recommendation for the commission.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Just real quick. Again, going back, I think that's something that I had asked, for Measure H to actually convene the committee, because again, when that went before the community, again, it failed the first time, the second time to pass, after, it came back and it was reworked, in a way that, it was not just, safety and but also, where there was a loophole that, it was going to go to the general fund. So, but nonetheless, I think that we need clarity on that. Also, what is concerning to me is that just looking at the numbers, we have those, potential, not potential, but we have those reserves. But at the end of the day, those reserves are coming from savings also, whether it's, positions that have not been filled. But what if we move to fill those positions? So, moving forward, I think we need to have a better plan, financial plan, whether it's to meet the demands of the fire department, police department, or everybody else, because we can't just be working on moving monies, whether it's, Measure H, whether it's, recapturing monies that we're not spending because we're not hiring, staff, whether it's economic development, grant writer, administrator, whatever that might be. And I think all of those positions are very important, that we are fully staffed, because on that, will make us more efficient. And I do think that will generate revenue also. But, we need to make sure that we are talking with, I'm sorry that I'm going to say, and that I'm sorry, but, I'm going to say this, that we talk with real numbers and real strategies. Because we cannot, and again, budgets are projections. Budgets are something that we're projecting, and we can't control that. But at least let's not kid ourselves just by moving monies around. We're balancing our budget. I don't think that's a very efficient strategy. I think we need to have a better strategy. First, we need to make sure that we get a handle on all of our funding. I appreciate the work that you do, Carla. I appreciate the work that you do, Miguel. But let's bring that Measure H. Let's look at what has happened. Let's look at how can we again get a handle on these things, whether it's filling those vacancies, whether it's really get an idea as to where we stand, because we had those savings, we have those savings now, but what about next year and the year after? So again, let's work with real numbers, what we have, and let's also consider projections, but let's look at reality.
I
think Mr.
Here's something as well. Okay, we have budgeted for an assistant, either manager or economic developer. Don't we already have a budget for it? But are you taking that money and putting it elsewhere?
We're taking some of that money so that we can afford other items. So, and let me go back a little bit to answer your concern, Mr. Garcia. Measure H, when it was initially created, and that was way before I was here, we issued a bond so that we could build our fire station, which we're currently doing. This was many years ago. It was long overdue. It took us many years to get to the point where we're at right now. So there's a bond. We need to pay that bond. Some of the other offset of Measure H is to pay for public safety. There's an interfund reimbursement, so there's money taken out of Measure H and given it back for salaries and benefits to both police department and fire department. So that's how the monies are used. If there's any money left, then yes, it is taken back to general fund as a regular offset. But those are the main expenditures. We pay our bond, we make sure that we're staying, paying and making our payments on time for Measure H, which is again, fire station, and also for public safety. So it is being used for what it was intended for. Is there opportunity for more? Absolutely.
Okay.
We can look into that, but we're working on that. We will meet with Measure H. The plan is to meet maybe before we issue our budget, so they can have a chance to look at it and make any suggestions as they feel they need to.
And there's just one thing that I want to add to that, and I thank you. I just want to be very careful on one thing, especially because our community here in the city has gone through many ups and downs as it pertains to city finances. These are real numbers. These are real numbers. The dollar and cents that we present to you are real. What do I mean by that? That they're accounted for. That we have a system that has been recognized as a functional system by the State Treasurer's Office and by the Department of Finance. So I understand that we're trying to do as much as we can with what we have, but like I said, we do that to make sure that we maintain a service to our community. Is it the service we want to offer? No. Can it be better? Absolutely. With the situation of COVID-19 and how it has impacted our revenues, well, have we been in the need to go in through other measures to not only have a balanced budget, but not touch our reserves? Absolutely. But as it pertains to real money, real numbers, these are real numbers. And I say that just because of the recent history of the city in which that particular matter was highly contested and was of high concern to the people. And an attestation of this is what we saw, how long ago? Was it a month ago? When our third-party auditor presented the numbers for the audited financials and the operations that we have in finance. So I just want to make that distinction.
No, and again, it's not that I didn't say that they're not real numbers. It's just that moving forward, getting away from the practice of saving monies, right? Or using the savings that we have for not filling vacancies and all of that, to count it to our reserves. That is all great. But I think that if we don't have those, staff members, if we don't have that, capacity in our ability to serve our community, right? I think that's a disservice. And it's not that I alluded to say that these are not real numbers, but it's just that moving forward, I would like to see that, we have those vacancies filled, and then we can look at, what we have. So, and it's not that I'm alluding that these are made up numbers. It's just that, again, let's use those monies, for the vacancies. Let's use those numbers, or those amounts, those funds, the way that, we need to be using that. And that's not also alluding that they're not being used the way that are being used. But it's something that I just got from, Carla, which, thank you, that has been said a lot about Measure H, understanding that, whether, the committee needs to be involved and needs to be looking at this, and just for the sake of transparency. This is, again, I agree with you, we need to be very careful the way that we conduct ourselves, because, we're turning the page. We're trying to do different, and we're doing different, right? But that's where I'm coming from, making sure that we're transparent, making sure that we are participant and we engage the community, and the community members, they're supposed to be here also providing the feedback and providing recommendations as to how we spend these monies, how we use these monies, just to that.
Absolutely.
I think Mr. Garcia is absolutely correct on the points that he's bringing up. Again, I want to make a agradecimiento, thank you to Ms. Lovatos and Mr. City Manager Figueroa for yet again another quarter que ustedes hacen milagros con este budget. Quite frankly, every time you bring a balanced budget back with cuts, I still have to say that's an impressive feat. And you're really keeping the city together, but turning to council, now it's our job to support our staff through policy making, right? And this is a part that Camilo Garcia is alluding to, is an administrative function, but it's also a city council directive to give guidance as to where we want to take the risk and where we want to make cuts. And this comes back to the nature of projections, right? The nature, and I love studying the nature of probability and financial projections. And one of the things that just comes into clarity when I do that is a projection is going to come reality if two things. If nothing changes outside and if we don't act. But if we act, we can actively change projections, especially when it comes to economic patterns like sales taxes, right? So other jurisdictions have been very creative since the start of the pandemic to adapt their economies to become more digital. For example, here in the city of Calexico, we keep talking about the same two tax bases. Mexicali residents coming here to buy and our local visitors. And they're both very important sources, but the one that we have been neglecting for a good 3 decades now is that the rest of this country is no longer selling at storefronts. The rest of this country is competing in a global online market and making sales taxes for their jurisdictions out of that. What we need to do with the Chamber of Commerce, through policy making, through incentives, through better business license practices and things of that nature, is get those things going, incentivize those kinds of businesses. That is how we can change those projections. We have control. Projections are things that we have control over. So no es un regaño, Madam Mayor, but I do have to bring this up just because I wanted to come back to council on the topic of sales tax. 3 months ago, I sat down in a good faith attempt with Madam Mayor to implement immediate economic reforms of that nature to get some of these businesses going. I remember having some separate conversations with yourself along the same lines. I was told that these things were being worked on. Quite frankly, I don't see them implemented. We all have a lot of differences, but this is a crisis. This is something that affects all of us. And I really would like to see the type of strategy that you're talking about come back as a discussion item to see what kind of policy things we can do, structural things we can do on a municipal side, identify some key players like the Independent Chamber of Commerce, the regular Chamber of Commerce, that are trying to already do the Imperial Valley Colectivo that is also starting up, that is already doing this work, and see cómo podemos ponerlo todo junto, because I think we are not doing enough to take control of the situation that we can take control over. It takes some innovation, it takes trying new things, but if we don't act, the projection is going to come true. And como usted está viendo, we can't keep cutting to the bone. We're not going to grow. We have to make investments, but we have to make smart investments. And I would even invite us, maybe in the course of making those plans, maybe we do have to touch that reserve. But we have to do so in a way that is intelligent, that really has a real business plan behind it for our community. So definitely would like to agendize that for the next meeting. But I'll come back to that in the future agenda items. With that, I'll make a motion to approve this budget amendment.
Second.
Our Supervisor Escobar wanted to say something about our budget. Sorry. Everything went on and...
Mayor, thank you. I always like to review budgets, especially one near and dear to my heart, which is the city of Calexico's. I sat on your seat a few short years ago. The fact that we have $1 million reserve, I mean, I commend you, all of you, but I especially commend Ms. Lovatos, who we didn't have in my time until the end, and Mr. Figueroa. Again, this is incredible for the city of Calexico that we're able to generate in such a short time frame, given all the limitations, and added on the salting of COVID-19 into the fiscal issues that it brings is just something to be commended for the city of Calexico. Having said that, there's also a lot of artificial money out there. Most of our community received not one, not two, but 3 stimulus checks on an individual basis. Small business owners that are going through hard times or may not be going through hard times receive the opportunity to receive not one, but 2 SBA PPP loans, which are basically grants if you can justify that. An SBA EIDL loan, and also recently California funds to the tune of up to $25,000 in grant money. So there's a lot of artificial money going out there, which is partially, more than likely, the reason why our sales tax did not decrease as much as they could. If the glasses, if we think the glass is half full, then the opening of the borders within the next 2 to 3 months, God willing, will obviously assist us. If we're thinking the glass is half empty, that's not going to matter, and we're going to be in a deep financial crisis for the next 2 or 3 years. What I'm taking my supervisor hat and putting on my City of Calexico citizen hat, stakeholder hat on, I ask that you be very fiscally prudent and very strategic in your future decisions. You will be getting, and I'm going to guesstimate at this point, I believe it's a little less than $10 million. 7.5. Oh, shoot, that's not good. But anyway, I thought it was more like 10. But anyway, you're going to get $7.5 million. Again, as a 47-year City of Calexico resident, I ask that you be very fiscally prudent and very strategic. What happened and I'll be very brief. I know this is very late, and I'll be very brief. What happened at the county is we used, in 2013, we got significant one-time funds, millions of dollars in one-time funds. What did the county do? It used these funds to finance long-term expenses. Not one-time expenses, long-term expenses. So these funds started drying up, but the expenses continued to roll. And that's what got the County of Imperial in trouble to this day. Financially, fiscally speaking, we are in a financial rut. I don't want this to happen again to the City of Calexico. And we are in a very slippery slope. So I ask you to be very strategic, and hopefully what you spend your money on with Mr. Figueroa's and Ms. Lovato's leadership is to obviously augment that revenue stream so that we can continue to grow that rainy day fund, which now stands at $1 million, which again, I can't rub my eyes because of COVID-19, but I can barely believe it.
Yes,
So again,
too. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for your time.
Gracias.
Okay, now can we move forward?
Vote.
Councilmember Garcia?
Aye.
Councilmember Romo?
Aye.
Councilmember Ureña?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Moreno?
Aye.
Mayor Arreola Fernandez?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Madam Mayor, at this time, the city attorney just informed me that if the
Around
council
9:30.
wishes to continue the meeting, you folks need to take a motion on it.
What do we have on here that's urgent?
Can we just, I'm sorry, can we just approve all of them at one time?
That's what I was going to say. I was going to make that motion.
I mean, for the
I
matter of
agree.
time, lieu of time?
If this,
Oh, in other words,
Wanna
just vote on it, because we're about 2 minutes away.
okay, we should just vote on, okay.
Can we? I mean,
number
unless there's
16.
opposition from somebody.
Motion to approve the rest of the items.
Adopt resolution number 2021 of the City Council of the City of Calexico adopting the City of Calexico policy and procedure for speed hump installations. It's not steep bumps, it's steep humps.
Yes. So I just want to be clear. I saw our attorney nod his head when the question was asked if the remaining items, if that's the wish of the council to approve. But city attorney, what would that procedure be? Would the mayor have to read each item?
I would read each item just to get it. Yeah, we'd make a motion motion, and I would just read each item so that way it's clear for the record, and obviously if we have any public comments, you know, individuals can make them as well. Do we have any public comments for these items, City Clerk?
No, sir.
Okay.
So you want to make, you want us to make the motion to approve all the items, or we're just going into 19, or just, so it's going to be like a consent agenda, is that what you're saying?
Yes, but yeah, if we could just.
read each one.
Yeah, just read each, I would read
Okay.
each one for the record, to be clear.
Okay, so on number 16, adopt resolution number 2021 of the City Council of the City of Calexico adopting the City of Calexico policy and procedure for speed hump installation. Now, number 17, letter of support for California Assembly Bill 868. Number 18, letter of support for California State Bill 705. Letter of support to California Assembly Bill 1221. 20, authorize city manager to sign amendment number 1 to the amendment of professional services with Lee and Roll Industries for engineering services for sewer lift station number 9 and 11, sewer collection and water distribution system improvement project. Item 21, authorize the city manager to purchase restrooms for Adrian C. Cordova Memorial Park in the amount of $303,901.37 from Romtip Industry under Buy Board National Purchasing Corporation Cooperative Purchase Agreement. Item number 2, the City of Calexico acting in its capacity as a legislative body for the Calexico Community Facilities District number 2013-1 Grand Plaza, adopt resolution number 2021, authorizing the levy of special taxes within improvement area number 1 of such district for fiscal year 21 to 22. Number 23, the City of Calexico acting in its capacity as a legislative body for the Calexico Community Facilities District number 2003-1 Bravo Rodiles, adopt resolution authorizing the lien of special taxes within improvement area number 1 of each district for fiscal year 21-22. 24, approval or resolution of the City Council of the City of Calexico, California, determining and leaving the special tax and community facilities district number 2005-1 Hartstone. Now, do I have a motion?
So is that your motion, and we would take
I'll
a second
second
on
it.
that?
Go ahead. I'll second.
Councilmember Garcia,
Aye.
Councilmember Romo, Councilmember Ureña,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Moreno,
Aye.
Mayor Arreola Fernandez.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous.
Okay, now, do we have any future agenda items?
Go ahead.
I would like to hear of the next meeting, please, about the situation of each of the commissions and commissioners. That's okay? Commissioners. And we need a better communication service to the committee's meetings, Mr. Figueroa, and the city manager submits a report on the general situation of the ambulances, income and expenses of the service, include a budget for the 3 ambulances with lease.
Okay, I have 3 items I would like to propose. The first one is to authorize a letter of support for California Senate Bill number 2. Letter of support for California Assembly Bill 339. And then the last one would be a discussion item on a COVID business adaptability plan. And I would ask City Manager Figueroa if you could come prepared with the appropriate staff from the planning department as well as the finance department in case we need to have a conversation on business license, taxes, regulations, and zoning.
Got it. Mr. Ureña, is this also aligned with what you mentioned as part of the presentation on the third quarter budget?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Got it.
Just for me, I'll give my second presentation on the Farm Worker Service Center. It's Figueroa for.
Understood. We'll have a follow-up presentation to the initial one you gave.
That's right, thank you.
Okay. Well, good night, everybody, and thank you all.